to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Sanitation meeting for Monday, July the 10th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I'll ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You've been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, June 19th, 2017. The floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I abstained because I wasn't at the meeting. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have 3 pages of wastewater claims in the amount of $44,282.99. Floor is open for questions or comments.
And I have none, thank you.
Nor do I, sir.
No questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the wastewater claims dated July 10th, 2017 in the amount of $44,282.99.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. This evening, Board, we have no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. We have no new business. Comments from board members?
I have none, thank you.
No, I have none either.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve or to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:04 p.m. We will convene Board of Public Works and Safety meeting in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of 3 meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, July the 10th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You've been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, June 19th, 2017. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I abstain due to my absence at that meeting. Thank you, Board. This evening, Board, you have 29 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $871,572.85. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I do have a question, please. On page 27, the second line item, environmental remediation services for $14,006.92.
That would be part of our testing for the gas tank that we removed.
Thank you. So wait, let me ask another quick question if I can, Mark. So are they still testing?
They are still testing. They have told me their test for the next 5 years. It has to reach a certain level.
Mhm.
before they-
Right.
And the state will tell them what that level is.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question, thanks.
I have no questions.
No other questions or comments. I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated July 10th, 2017 in the amount of $871,572.85.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. We have no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. We have several items under new business. And the first is a vendor license application approval for Blake's Ice Cream Truck. And they came in, they filled out a license application, provided driver's license, insurance certification, registration of the vehicle, their most recent health department inspection, and they did background checks. The police did background checks, and according to the chief, all of the ice cream people look okay. So I'll open the floor up for any questions or comments concerning the application for an ice cream truck.
Have we had one before?
A long time ago, but last year, Dave, I think the last 2 years, Dan, we've turned them down.
I don't know that we've ever had an ice cream truck since you and I have been in here. And previous to that, I don't think they did any licensing of it or, so I'm not sure exactly how it worked previously.
I can, and I think when they came in here, I think they were told that this is not favorable. So I'm not sure how the rest of the board feels about this, but I will be voting no.
Is there an ordinance?
There is an ordinance on selling food out of a vehicle. So I'm not sure what, Dave, Sandy, where you're at with this, but
Chief, do a background check on
he did, and they were all okay. So at this time, is there any questions or comments?
Are they, are they residents here at Beech Grove?
Two of them look like they may be, one of them's not. I'll ask for a motion to either approve or deny.
Make a motion to deny?
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify, of the denial of the permit, signify by saying yes.
Yes, yes.
And I vote yes as well, so the application is denied. Thank you, board. Holy Name has submitted a request for their closure of 16th Street for the Oktoberfest on September the 29th and 30th. Not the 28th and 29th. So if I can have the clerk read the letter into the record, please.
Dear Beech Grove Board of Works and Safety, on behalf of Holy Name of Jesus Catholic Church and the Oktoberfest Committee, I would like to request permission and assistance from the City of Beech Grove regarding the following areas for our annual Oktoberfest that will be held on September 28th and 29th, 2017. Closure of 16th Avenue between Albany Street, north end, to Main Street, south end, including barricades from street traffic beginning Friday, September 28th at 2 p.m. through Sunday, October 1st. This closure time frame includes setup and tear down and time of the event. Assistance with providing trash totes and recycled totes along with trash pickup from the city. Use of the picnic tables from the Parks Department. Temporary sewer line connection and hookup for use of the portable restroom facilities on site. Placement of promotional banners and assistance from the city and placement of these banners that will be provided by Holy Name. As has been done in previous years, we will notify all surrounding neighbors of this event to apprise them of all aspects of the event and will include notification of the street closure. The Holy Name Oktoberfest is a community event that will be open to the public and the entire Beech Grove community. We encourage our community to participate in this weekend devoted to food and fun. The city of Beech Grove continues to be part of this tradition of neighborhood and spirit and celebration. We appreciate the assistance from the city and Board of Works in making this event a successful for Holy Name. If you have any questions, contact Mike Lamping.
Thanks, Dan. Floor is open for any questions or comments.
My question is, we have the support from the directors. You know, police, fire,
Last year,
DPW, parks.
Numerous years, we just did from Albany to the alley north of Main, so the alley was open for residents to go in and out, or for emergency vehicles to have that access.
Dave, any thoughts?
No, so they're wanting it to Main Street and past the alley this year?
Alley north of Main to Albany would be blocked off. That's what we've done the past several years.
So do we want to stick with that plan and go back and say that,
I think that's the way it's been
I think
submitted.
Bob and I
Yeah, I
agree
think
that
it's-
that makes it easiest for the emergency vehicles and for the neighbors.
But in the past, it's always been submitted like this, and every time we do it to the alley, so
Yeah.
it's nothing new.
I question these dates. I think these dates are wrong. I think it's the 29th and 30th. So why don't we just, I'll ask for a motion to approve the closing of 16th Avenue from Albany to the alley north of Main, beginning on Friday of the Oktoberfest through Sunday morning. And we'll leave the dates out of it, because I think these dates are wrong. I think it's the 29th and 30th.
the 28th and 29th is a Thursday, Friday?
It's
So it's
29th.
the
Saturday.
29th and 30th.
29th and 30th is a Friday.
Yeah.
It's Saturday.
Yep.
Why don't we just do that? And I'll just ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Also, motion to place promotional banners for the Oktoberfest.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Again, this year, Board, St. Francis is going to have the Walk to Remember on October the 7th, I think. I think it's October 7th. At Central again, just like they've done in the previous couple of years. And the city really has no role in this. But on 10th Street from Main to Albany, it's very congested. So I would ask the board, I would ask for a motion to allow them to close 10th Street from Main to Albany, beginning at about 8 in the morning on that Saturday until, and the alley there, until the walk is finished.
What date was that again?
I think it's October 7th, but I could be wrong.
Walk to remember?
It's a Saturday, whenever that is. October 7th?
I'll make a motion to approve.
To Main to alley, which alley? North or south?
There's an alley between, on North 10th, between Main and Albany. There's an alley there.
Yeah. I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Just for clarification, you said Albany. Do you want it to say the alley or Albany?
No, Albany. And then
Okay.
also close the alley there.
Okay, from Maine to Albany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's been a motion to allow the alley to be closed, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you. Request to replace 2 flow meters, Department of Public Works. Brad's not with us this evening, so I'll ask the clerk to read the letter into the record, please.
Dear Board, the City of Beech Grove flow meters at the Woods and Carrington locations are no longer functioning properly and in need of replacement. Each year, GRIP performs an annual calibration of all 9 flow meters to remain in compliance with our citizen sanitary sewer agreement. In May of this year, these 2 locations were not able to be calibrated due to their operating condition, causing us to currently be in non-compliance. I have authorized GRIP to replace these flow meters in lieu of repair due to their age, lack of available parts, and outdated technology. Prior to giving GRIP authorization to schedule the needed replacement, I did solicit quotes from both GRIP, $24,635.40, and HESCO, $28,183. Both of these quotes are attached for your review. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Respectfully, Brad Merriweather.
Thank you, Dan. Floor is open for questions or comments.
Hi, approximately how many flow meters do we have in the city?
9. And they're all bad.
Is this the only one that's out of compliant that we know of?
These are 2.
Or 2?
The other ones, they have to be calibrated every so often. And these 2, they can't do it anymore. And then this exceeds the $10,000 rule, so we have to solicit at least 2 quotes. And GRIP is who currently has all the 9 meters. GRIP is a type of meter. Any questions or comments?
I have none.
I have none, thank you.
Ask for motion to approve the director's request to purchase GRIP flow meters ×2.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. Thank you. The agreement with Community Hospital for Community Paramedicine, I want to table that till the next meeting. I haven't had a chance to go through it and read it thoroughly. So if we could take that up at the next meeting, I would appreciate it. So we'll table that for tonight and put it back on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you. We have 2 handicap parking permits tonight. The first one is Diana Arnold. And then the second one is Barbara Stoltz. And that one came in Friday after the agendas were posted, so I'll defer to the clerk for both of these. Then we'll just do one motion after they're through.
Both of these are just, one's a new, and I believe the other one's renewal. And like I say, there's no issue with them, and I would ask that you approve them.
Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none, thank you.
Nope.
If no questions or comments, I'll ask for motion to approve the parking permit for Barbara Stoltz and Diana Arnold.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. We have one paving disclosure that I want to bring to the board. It does not need approval, it's just disclosure for public record. Recently, the city paved the alley north of Buffalo to Detroit and between 16th and 17th Avenue as part of the 2017 paving project. During the same time frame, it appears that paving was done at 235 North 17th from the detached garage to the new alley. I want to disclose to the general public that the city did not approve this work and the city did not pay for this work. I'm not really sure who paved the area, but it may very well have been Smith Projects, who was hired by the city to pave the alley. This is for public disclosure and an approval is not necessary. Upon looking at it further, I found an Indy curb appeal sign in their backyard. So I'm not saying Indy curb appeal did it, but there are signs back there, so I just want to disclose publicly that the city did not pay for that. Did not authorize it to be paved, nor did we pay to have that private area paved, so that's just for the record.
So how big of a space was it?
Probably 20 feet wide by 20 feet long.
The city did pay for the alley.
For the alley.
Yeah.
But not the private,
Not the private individual.
yeah.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is fiscal year 2018 contract for the NDOT passenger rail system, better known as the Hoosier State Service. I'll defer to legal for a comment on the agreement for 2018.
Sure, so I want to direct your attention to page 2. There's no financial contribution on behalf of the city, so I want to make sure that I got that out. There's a graph of the cities that are contributing, but Beech Grove's not one of them. So other than that, it speaks for itself.
This is something that I support deeply, along with the Amtrak facility. The state this year, NDOT has budgeted $3 million for this service. First time in a long time that they've done this. So it's coming back around. Amtrak used to run the service, then they moved over to Iowa Pacific. Now they're back to Amtrak, and it seems to be going good. This agreement, their fiscal year starts in, if I'm not mistaken, July 1st, and it runs until July 1st of 2018. So we have no financial obligation because we have no depot here. So I'll open the floor up for questions or comments, but I do ask that the board approve this.
So I do have a question. So on page 2, it says in lieu of a monthly cash contribution, that we will provide a monthly credit in the amount of $18,000 pursuant to section 3 and of the Amtrak agreement. What type of credit are we giving them?
Well, our position was, since 1987, they haven't paid taxes to the city of Beech Grove. And from 87 to today, we provide them city services, police and fire. And whenever the fire department goes there and whenever the police department goes there, we don't bill them for that service. But it costs us money to do that. Now, we do bill if they have an ambulance run.
Okay.
But, so in lieu of payment, that is our agreement with Amtrak and with the NDOT.
Okay.
So,
We have never written them a check for anything, so
Okay.
if that helps clarify
Okay,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the fiscal year 2018 contract with NDOT and Amtrak for the Hoosier State Service from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. And I'll sign off on this, and I'll turn it in on the July 12th. That's when it's due. Thank you, Board. Chief, we have 3 step increases for firefighters. If you could come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. The first personnel I have is I'd like to ask for the approval for the pay increase of Nick Bell to the position of third-year firefighter paramedic. If approved, Nick's pay will increase to $2,457.82 per pay period. This will take effect the payroll starting July 29th, 2017. The increase for position pay is in our 2017 budget.
Thank you, Chief. Floor is open for question or comment.
I have no comments.
Anything, Dave?
No, sir.
Not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's request pursuant to Nick Bell.
I'll make some motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Second request is I'd like to ask for approval for the pay increase of Rodney Giffen to the position of third-year firefighter EMT. If approved, Rodney's pay will increase to $2,389.20 per pay period. This will take effect to payroll starting July 29th, 2017. The increase for position pay is in our 2017 budget.
Floor is open for question or comment.
And thank you.
I have none.
None, I'll ask for a motion to approve the chief's request pursuant to Rodney Giffen.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. One more.
All right, third is I'd like to ask for approval of the pay increase of Kelly Lynch to the position of third-year firefighter paramedic. If approved, Kelly's pay will increase to $2,496.28 per pay period. This will take effect the payroll starting July 29th, 2017. The increase for position pay is in our 2017 budget. I believe Kelly's here with us
I was
this
going to
evening.
ask her what she thinks of this.
And after the approval, would love to have her come up, maybe say a couple words. That'd be.
All right, floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
If no questions or comments, ask for a motion to approve the chief's request pursuant to Kelly Lynch.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. You want to introduce the new guy?
Absolutely. The great news, we have our recruits back from Recruit Academy. Had the great opportunity to go out and attend their family night last Thursday, where they did a family demo and showed their families what they've actually been up to over the last few months. It was a great experience, and then on Friday night was the recruit graduation. Joe Anglin is with us this evening. Joe?
I know, Ryan, we can't believe he made it either.
But we're very glad to have these guys back to help out and help with staffing, and greatly appreciate the job that all of our firefighters, paramedics do 24/7. They have a tough job.
Does he still, did he have to buy dinner tonight?
I did. I did. We just got done before we came.
Generally, the
Hazing.
first shift that they work when they're out of school, they
They're in
the
charge
dinner.
of.
They do the dinner for the whole shift. That's a good thing. And many a free meal.
Yeah, so.
All right. Chief, one more thing, Kronos, Telestaff. I don't know if Jim wanted to do it or not.
Yes, Jim's gonna come up and take care of this. Since no one else wanted to speak this evening, we do have Chief Pierce come up and speak about Telestaff.
Good evening, Board. Real quickly, I wanted to talk to you about our Kronos program that we currently use. We've been using since 2008. It's a staffing program that we track all of our daily staffing, our sick time, our vacation time, anything that has to do with staffing is tracked in that. It also interfaces with all of our reporting programs, so it fills in staffing for us and things of that nature. Due to upgrades, Kronos is no longer going to support and provide the current program that we have. They're going to a cloud-based system that will be, for us, the most efficient way for us will be to have Wayne Township host our cloud program for us. That saves us several $1,000s of equipment charges for us to host it ourselves. As you can see, I don't know, did they get a copy of
Yes.
this? Okay, you have in front of you a copy of the invoice for Kronos. That's for the updated software, the licensing for us, and some installation fees for this year. Then it'll go to an annual fee after that. But this is all to keep up with what we've had since, like I said, 2008, and to go ahead and upgrade to the system to keep us in line with that. And just so you know, this system's been approved by the State Board of Accounts for us for our record keeping, so that we won't have to do anything by paper. We can do it all electronically. So we got this approved several years ago for that as well. So that's what this is all about. This is just kind of a necessary evil for us to upgrade to the newest system, and then to get us switched over to that cloud-based system. So, does anybody have any questions?
Jim, does IFD have Kronos?
Yes.
What's their fee?
I couldn't tell you. It's all based on the number of users. Their licensing is based on their 3,500 members, where ours is based on 40 members. So
I was told that if we went with them, it would be $20,000. Is that accurate?
I really don't know. I didn't go look at going with them because of that being through Marion County and a lot more hoops to jump through. This was a better option for us to go with. We're combining with Town of Speedway and Wayne Township to host all this on their equipment and their servers. I can't comment on that, Mayor. I really don't know
Okay.
anything.
That's what
about
I was
that.
told.
Yeah. I just felt like in looking at this, to get them to host it, I just didn't think it would be a good fit for us, because they're doing the entire city. City of Indianapolis is going to this system, and I felt like we would be hamstrung a little bit.
Jim, when is this gonna take effect?
I need to kind of move on this as quickly as possible so that we can get the system and the licensing and the software installed, get it configured, get our data transferred over, and it has to be updated because it's a different type of database. So that's going to take a few months, and we want to have this done by the end of the year.
Okay.
So the sooner I get this approved and paid for and moved forward, we can start working on all that data transition and getting things installed. So that's why we're asking now, even though we're really probably not going to go live.
I'm not sure we have a choice.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure we have much of a choice, do we?
We really don't at the end of the year. So that was why Marion County fire departments and police departments have started looking at moving over. Downtown wasn't going to host this anymore, and plus Kronos has done away with their client-based software. So.
Okay. Board members have questions or comments?
No questions.
So what should our motion be, Jim?
I would like for you to approve the invoice that you see in front of you, to go ahead and move forward with this so we can go ahead and purchase our licensing and the little bit of hardware that we're going to be needing to purchase, so that we can go ahead and start the process of getting this installed and start the data migration process, so that we'll be ready to go live in the last part of this year.
So it'd be a motion to approve the telestaff?
Yes, to current telestaff invoice.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there money somewhere for this that we can use? Or is it hadn't been budgeted or anything, has it?
No, it has
No.
not been budgeted, but I'm sure
I just
they've
didn't
got
know
a
where you pulled it out
category.
of.
That was
Yeah, but-
what I was gonna ask too.
Dave, I'm not really sure we have an option. I mean,
No, I'm just saying, I don't know where do you pull it out if it hadn't been budgeted? Just general fund or something?
$7,000 for this type of an upgrade is not, I mean, it's not very much.
Rob,
can
you
tell
don't
you
have
what-
any issue pulling it out of one of the budgetary places?
I don't know where we're gonna find it, honestly.
he's saying come out of the police budget.
Glad you're here, Mark.
I mean, it's something that you have to have. It's something you just can't.
Yeah, it's something
you
we
have
have
to
to have
have
to
it.
function, and that's how we track through
Right,
state
now
board
they're
of
taking
accounts,
out
all
public
of our
works.
sick, vacation, daily staffing. And we've done so for the last eight years.
Well, there'd probably be money in ambulance reimbursement, wouldn't there? To pull it out of there. I mean, I can get with you at a later date. The main thing's just getting it approved to
Yeah.
pay for it.
Motion to approve the Operations Chief's request concerning telestaff implementation.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
That concludes new business. Comments from board members. Dave, anything?
No, I think if that's it. I would like to let you know, though, the last meeting got done in record time.
Yeah. Hint.
Is that a reflection?
No, I was nervous when we went through it real quick.
I will add something, just to go back a week or so about the 4th of July. We had a lot of great people in our city that made that a fabulous celebration for our country. So thank you to the firefighters, police, DPW, all those who attended. It was a great celebration.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Before we adjourn, I wanted to pass on that we're going to have a little press conference here on Wednesday at 1 o'clock pursuant to the Marsh supermarket timetable. So the public is invited to attend, but it will be in these chambers at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:40 PM.
Okay.
We will convene city council at 7. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. At this time, we'll convene our City Council meeting for Monday, July the 10th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Buddy Templin, Councilman at Large.
Jim Brooks, Council at Large.
Dave Harrison, Councilman, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Peter Mascari, Council District 2.
Elizabeth Lampton, Council District 1.
Chris Dupper, District 3.
Thank you, Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We have a couple presentations tonight. The first is GEI Consultants has joined us tonight to brief you on the roundabout progress and the Thompson Road sidewalks. So I'll turn the floor over to GEI Consultants, and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Scott Hornsby with GEI Consultants. I have Marcia Craney-Blevins here with me tonight. Like the mayor said, I want to give you an update on the Arlington Churchman Big Four Roundabout project. We've been under development. I think I approached you guys about a year ago when that project just started off. Wanted to give an update on where we're at. We are doing surveys. Surveys complete. We finished stage 1 plans, which is about 30% preliminary design, and submitted that to NDOT to review. NDOT's involved because there's federal funds involved through the NPO. We held a preliminary field check in May, and at the field check, the utilities and all the parties show up at that and walk the project. So currently, we're developing stage 2 plans, which is 60% complete plans. We're starting to identify the right-of-way needs of the project. It's looking like we're going to need 6 parcels of right-of-way. We're working on the environmental document as well. That has to be completed prior to starting the land acquisition process. We will be looking at starting geotechnical investigation, soil boring type activities in this fall. Like I said, we are currently also talking to all the utilities about the project and getting them up to speed so they know to be out of the way in time for construction. We've also been coordinating with Indianapolis DPW. That's ongoing. And the project is slated for July 2019 bid opening, with construction starting that late summer through the fall and early winter. We expect to be complete by the end of the year of 2019, substantially complete. We'll probably have to come back in the spring in 2020 to finish up some of the landscape items, seeding and sodding and that kind of thing. Again, the project is scheduled to be, the road's going to be closed during construction. That'll help expedite the construction activity, get it done quicker. It's safer for the workers, safer for the traveling public. Again, it's a single-lane roundabout. The natural gas facility there where the project's being relocated, where the project is at, the footprint, the natural gas facility is going to be relocated by Citizens Energy. And like I said, the project is 80% funded, federally funded, with 20% local. And I have a breakdown here, and Marshall will pass this out, of the costs that we expect to incur in 2018 and 2019.
Just a reminder that some of that is reimbursable.
Right. Did you give the mayor one? So in 18, we'll be finishing up our design work, that's the preliminary engineering work, and also doing the right-of-way services, that's the appraising and buying activities that are needed, and then the right-of-way acquisition, the acquiring of the parcels. You'll see that all in 2018. And then in 2019 column is the construction, and that part of it's local. The 292 is the local part of it, and then the inspection part, the local part of the inspection. Project is still around $1.5 million total construction. I think that's what I talked to you guys about a year ago, and that's the total funding amount with the local and the federal share of it. So, you guys have any questions for me on that?
I'm going to go back just for a minute.
Sure.
Let me dig at my notes. You should have a letter from Connectrix Energy in your packet, and I think it's really relevant that you take a look at it. And it talks about, I'm not sure where mine is, talks about the investment that they have already made out there. Can I borrow yours, Chris? At the end of the first paragraph, the second to the last sentence, it says, "In fact, we are considering future expansion with one of our transportation partners, and the proposed roundabout is a critical piece of infrastructure for our investment." They are getting ready to, we meet on it again Friday, but they are getting ready to increase the capacity of their output out there, plus they're getting ready to expand. And there's a group called Merchants Gas Group. It's a conglomerate of tractor-trailer businesses that have joined into one big company that they are courting to locate out there. This has been under development for 2 years. Now it's getting to the point where, okay, at the end of July, they are probably going to make an offer to them for the property, which used to be the refined metals. So all of that's been cleaned up. So this is, of all the things that we've done over the past 5 or 6 years, this has the potential to be far greater than anything we've done, and would be worth millions of dollars to the city 5 to 10 years from now. So this is what Scott's talking to you about tonight is extremely critical for the future of the city out on the east end. So
that's bringing in jobs as well?
not so much jobs as assessed valuation.
Okay.
It'll make us worth more as a city. Okay. And I don't know if you had any drawings for the roundabout?
I didn't bring any for the
Okay.
roundabout. It's
Okay, I'm sorry.
similar to the one I passed out a year ago. Still here in the chamber or not? Any questions on the cost breakdown or timeline or anything?
how much of this is reimbursable, like in 18, the 358,000? Is all of these 80/20?
Well, the sheet I passed out, that's all, that's the local match. That's your share, Beech Grove part of it. The total, yeah. Well, the 37,800 is the 20% for the inspection. The total cost of everything is right at $2 million. And the federal share is 1.319 million, and the Beech Grove share is $681,800. And that's the construction, design, right away, everything. So I just gave you the breakdown on the 681,800.
So the 358,790 is our portion of it in 18?
Right.
And then in 19, 329,800?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the next project that we're in the preliminary planning stages of, that the mayor talked to us about a few months ago, is a shared use path along Thompson Road. And Marcia's going to be passing out several exhibits. I'll let you get that in front of you before I go on.
I'm working on this. Thank you.
And I believe the plan, like we did for the Big Four roundabout a couple years ago, is to get this ready for funding through the MPO. So it'll be a 80-20 type scenario. So this project is 9th Avenue to Emerson Avenue on the north side of Thompson Road for a shared use path. Beginning at 9th Avenue, extending east over Carson Creek, across Yazoo Drive, and ending at Emerson Avenue. The project purpose is to provide means for pedestrians and bicyclists to move between 9th Avenue on the west and Emerson Avenue on the east. Currently, only short segments of sidewalk exist on the west leg of Thompson and Emerson intersection. And if you've been out there, you'll see there's a worn dirt path where people walk already, and it's being used. Indigo buses drop people off there. There's no place for them to, there's no walk for them to even get on, so they've been just walking there in the dirt. Connectivity is needed between existing sidewalks extending to the north on either side of 9th Avenue, with a sidewalk on the east side of Emerson Avenue extending to the south. And it's going to, in the map, you'll see that she's passing out, shows, map 2 shows the, all the pedestrian and the residential areas that people are living in: Beech Grove Village Apartments, Willow Cove Apartments, Woodcrest Apartments, subdivisions on the north and individual lots in the south. All tend to want to go toward the east to the retail commercial areas there along Emerson Avenue. Talked about the bus stops. The project would also provide connectivity to any future pedestrian and bike facilities on Emerson Avenue. Again, this project is going to be coordinated with and has started discussions with the city of Indianapolis, because they own Thompson Road and Emerson. The path is going to span Carson Creek, so it'll be a bridge structure. You'll see a picture of a potential bridge structure that we're looking at. That's Exhibit 6. And that's a pre-made structure they bring out in 20-foot sections. We expect that to be about 20-foot long, 12-foot wide. The path itself will be asphalt with 8-foot minimum width, 10-foot desirable width. I believe the one she's passing out now, number 5, shows a typical section of the path with usage and separation between Thompson and the path. So the sidewalks will extend north along both sides of Yazoo Drive to and through the Woodmont Court and Oakmont Court intersection. Currently, the subdivision sidewalks do not extend to Thompson Road. And I believe we're going to, the intersection there, we're going to input ADA accessible ramps there and improve that along Yazoo. Utilities are in the right-of-way right now. We're trying to minimize the conflicts. That's why on the plan view drawings, you'll see the sidewalk kind of meanders in and out a little bit. That's to try to miss any utility structures that are out there to minimize costs. The right-of-way is narrow across 3 property frontages, so some right-of-way acquisition will be required, but for the most part, the right-of-way is already in place for the project. So those maps, 3 and 4 is just a blow-up of map number 2, a little bit more detail. Again, this is kind of the 1,000-foot look down. We haven't done any survey work or any design, but this is preliminary type things we do to prepare applications to the MPO for funding and that kind of thing that we're looking at in the fall. Correct, Mayor? Yes.
Why are we going 8 foot or 10 foot on a sidewalk?
Well, it's a multi-use path, and unfortunately, they drew one pedestrian right in the middle. That's actually going to be a 2-way path, so you could have a bicyclist and a pedestrian go different directions, and that's the width required for that. So it's more than just a sidewalk.
Will there be markings on it then?
Yeah, we'll put a delineation down the center.
And what's the potential for lighting on that? That's not what you'll be doing, but I was just curious.
Lighting can be considered. I'm not sure the lighting situation that's out there now, but that's something that
I just
we could
see
consider.
it's so valuable
Yeah.
for wellness and walks and people walking. I drive to work every day from my house down 9th to St. Francis, and it just breaks my heart when you see people struggling through walking through there. It's just it's so cumbersome, it's dangerous. And,
Yeah.
I just can see that area being so grateful. It's
Sure.
really welcome.
Could you explain the involvement Indianapolis, Marion County has as far as this project, Thompson Road?
I think we initially, go ahead.
It's been thought about for a couple of years. Councilor Mascari, who oversees District 21, which is on the north side of that, he is requesting something in that area as well. And Larry Jones from Indianapolis DPW met with us the other day, both on this and the roundabout project, to get this rolling. And I think that it's important enough. The MPO does not have any, in the long-term plan for this area, there is no plans to do anything with Thompson Road through 2035. So we have to do something to get these people away from Thompson Road. And they're already telling us, if you go down there now and look at where they've walked a path, how dangerous it is. And as a matter of fact, I think, and the police could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the last 6 years, there's been 319 accidents between Emerson and 9th Street on Thompson Road. So these people keep moving further back away from the road because it's just dangerous. So we come up with this plan, and the City of Indianapolis supports it. And I think when we met last week again, I think they were on board, and it wouldn't surprise me if the MPO, we don't know what this is going to cost. It wouldn't surprise me if the MPO didn't approve it and bump it up, like they did Churchman sidewalks, because once they see it, they'll understand how dangerous this really is. So, and I hope the City of Indianapolis, at the end of the day, will also share the expense.
Is Councilor Mascari, is he involved in like some of the meetings and planning on this?
No, I sent him a note letting him know that we were going to meet. He's welcome to come over, so, but he didn't make that one, but that's all right.
Well, that could be a pretty good help right there.
Oh, I think so. They wanted to come, I wanted them to come tonight and tell you what they're doing and let you know what's going on and give you an update on these projects, because these change our city, and they make it better and they make it safer. So I'll let you wrap up, Scott.
Sure, thank you. So, any other questions for me? Yes, sir.
I know there's probably some people out here that'd like to see exactly what we're talking about. So after the meeting, I will have, they'll be right there on the table, you can look at them and see what we're talking about.
Do you have any extras? Maybe you can just circulate it while they sit.
Probably 2 and 3 would probably be what they'd be interested in.
Okay, you want me to just say?
Yeah, if you would, and then afterwards they come and see what's.
Well, thank you, and anytime you want us to come back, we'll always love to come back and present updates on things, and appreciate the opportunity to put this together for you.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
The second presentation this evening is from our friend Mike Hoffman with he owns the Marine Center of Indiana, which is out on Elmwood Avenue. He's doing something really unique with his building, and I support what he's doing. It's a going green improvement concerning electricity. So Mike came to me the other day concerning the cost of permits and versus what he was trying to do. And I think it's worthy that we listen to what he has to say, and then I think when he gets done, I might make a recommendation to you. So Mike, come on up.
Thank you for letting me come this evening. I'm sure most of you know where my building is. It's the old Farm Fans building that sat vacant for 3 or 4 years. There's now 9 businesses in the building. We employ just north of 300 people in the building that, work, drive to Beech Grove, eat in Beech Grove, buy fuel in Beech Grove. So it's turned out pretty well, and hope everybody likes what we've done so far. I've been constantly improving it since 2001. One of the problems with it is that as expenses continue to go up, and in this year alone, we've had 3/4 point interest increases, which when you're in a cash expensive business really starts to increase stuff. And one of the problems is the cost of electricity, and IPL has a tendency to go up about 4% every year. The projection is in the next 10 to 12 years, they'll be 45% more expensive than they are now. And right now, I pay just shy of $11,000 a month, every month, just in electricity. So it's pretty expensive, and you can only rent an old building for so much per square foot, even though my business is in it, and my wife, who has the early childhood development preschool that services the Beech Grove community and the Beech Grove schools for before and after care programs. So I've been working with a company out of Toledo, Ohio, Solcian Technologies. I've been working with IPL, with zoning for over 4 years now, and we're finally at the point where we are going to install 110,000 square feet of solar panels on the roof of the building. What that will get me is not only will I backfeed part of the Indianapolis grid, but within about a year, power the entire building. It is not a cheap investment. It's about $1.5 million just for the solar system itself. For those of you that aren't real familiar with solar, and I certainly was not, it actually is going to be divided into 2 systems. One is a 480-volt system, and one is a 240-volt system. That's what IPL requires. It also creates electricity in DC, and it's going to do it in 5 different grids, and those grids have transformers that convert the DC back into AC. And we do it in what we call widgets, because I don't know the official technical term of it, but each day, each one of those systems will produce 50 widgets, and IPL is required to accept those 50 widgets. What is left over from that system just goes off into space, and it's not used at all. So the hope is to take the balance of that and backfeed the building. When you normally do a system like this, you make it 128% of what is needed for days that are cloudy, or days that it rains, or days that there's snow on the roof, or there's high smog. I'm doing it at just like about 250% of what is needed to make sure that I maximize all 50 widgets in each system every single day. That being said, the building is over 200,000 square feet. And when you put a solar system on the roof, and the system itself is the 110,000 square feet grid, plus all the wiring, plus the 5 transformers and everything else, the system is good for a minimum of 25 years. Well, my roof is only good for another 5 to 7 years, which creates a problem because once you cover it with 110,000 square feet of solar panels and wires, it's very difficult to fix a leak, which required me to spend about another $730,000 to replace the roof. Now, the great thing about it is, in our part of going green, we've already done it. We recycle everything we possibly can. We recycle wood, we recycle our aluminum and metals, we recycle paper and cardboard. In part of doing this whole thing, the old Farm Fields building still had a bunch of the old vents and fans to let out heat and a bunch of the old structures on the roof. Every bit of that is being taken down. I'm also doubling the insulation on the roof, so that in itself will save 20% on utility costs. The problem is the cost of the roof. And I wouldn't have had to do the roof had I not come up with this green project. There's no other solar programs in Beech Grove. This is, if not the largest, the second largest solar system east of the airport. I'm sure everybody that's been in the airport has seen the solar, panels all over the ground. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I come to Beech Grove zoning when I need to change something, and I'll be here again next month because of something I rezoned on the 2011 that screwed up my 2017 because the state of Indiana and our legislatures went after junkyards, which sucked in auto dealers and boat dealers to go along with that. So I have a slight issue there. Boat dealers' license is good, so we're okay there. But part of the problem is I come to the city of Beech Grove, and they approve the zoning with the help of Marion County zoning. But then when it goes to being inspected or getting the total approvals, I get the acceptance from my local city, but then everything has to go to the city of Indianapolis. So it gets really confusing. You're kind of, in my position as a business person here, I'm kind of caught in the middle. So what happened to me in this situation, City of Indianapolis and IPN, everybody agreed that it was a great program and we should do it. And if they as well handle the zoning in the permit, it would be $250 to put my roof on. And it would be another about $500 to have the electricity hooked up to the new solar system. The second most, or the most expensive city for a permit, which does it the same way as Beech Grove does, by the way, in the entire state is the city of Lawrence. And the city of Lawrence charges 10 cents per square foot for commercial roofing. They also limit it at a $1,000 maximum fee. Beech Grove, and I'm sure this was nothing that was done intentional. I don't know how many years ago it was done, but I know that Walmart wasn't here and Lowe's wasn't here when this was ever put in. But when you look at 10 cents a square foot for a building permit to put on a roof that's already cost me over $700,000, that adds another $21,000 just in permit fees. And then the electrical portion to hook up is almost $7,000. So I'm looking at $27,000 just to do something that I feel is really cool for the city, not only for myself, obviously. I'm not doing it because I just love Beech Grove. I think it's neat that Beech Grove in the community can take advantage, and because it's an outstanding project. But $27,000 is just too much. It's crazy. So I'm asking, please, for some help with the highest permits in the entire state. Did not research other states. There may be some higher, but I'm here. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Just out of curiosity with the solar, do you get any are there any government rebates or anything for solar right now? I know they kind of cut back on a lot of the solar panel assistance.
There is not any for the business. There is a personal federal tax credit
Okay.
that I will be able to take advantage of over a 5-year period. It does nowhere near pay for the system. It's great. I mean, any time that you can save on taxes is great. But
Some of those programs are being kind of limited out, I think, or kind of,
as a matter of fact, the program I have is not even available anymore.
That's
You can't get it. It's really semi-crazy. They force electric companies to produce so much in renewable energy. One of our presidents, a couple back, decided to put that into place. It's expensive for the power companies. It costs them more to buy the power that the roof will produce than they can produce it themselves today.
The word marine kind of doesn't just describe your business, though, does it? You've got a lot of other products there, am I right? Like
I am in the
RV,
boat business.
Just boat business only?
Me personally, I've been a fireman on my last year at White River Township. I've been a fireman for over 30 years, and I am in the boat business. Started as my part-time job and
So
kind of
part
grew
of
out
one of the other
control.
businesses over there is the RV and the.
There's an
like the
RV
electrician,
store. There is
and around
a-
the back, there's part of the business too. Go ahead.
There's an RV store there. There's the preschool that is licensed for 275 kids, 272, I think exactly. 75% underprivileged. There is a company called Midwest Structural, and their claim to fame is, I don't know why, but they're one of the nation's largest suppliers of bolts and nuts to build bridges. There is a company called Indiana Barrier, and they make parking blocks. There's a few other places in there, yes.
Is this where the 300 from the building, or do you?
No,
You personally
if-
yourself?
Believe me, if I personally myself with 300 people, I wouldn't be here today. I'd
Okay,
be on a
all
beach
right.
someplace.
I was just trying to do a little math.
So,
That's
no,
still
no,
a lot
no.
of people
I
out there.
personally have there's also a home health care agency that employs 75 nurses in the building. Midwest has about 30. Coleraine RV has about 75. The school has maybe about 60 or 65. I only have about 30 myself personally. And that's about 28 too many.
I sure want to applaud you on your efforts.
Thank you.
On what you're doing. I mean, one of the biggest problems I know people undertaking this is cost, and you've shared that with us, so.
well, this is the future of energy and what you're doing. I applaud you because it's going to happen around us, and this, for you to be stepping up with this for our community just says a lot for us here, and that's how things build, and that's how things how people lure in because of projects like that. So I am definitely applaud you, and I would be agreeable with trying to change some of the costs for you.
Thank you. Just for reference, real quickly, when I first got into the building, my electric bill was about $17,000 a month. Over the last, and I've taken advantage of every single program that was out there. But we've changed to now we're either all LED or all 25-watt fluorescent, and the bill's gone from 17 down to 10. I mean, we've updated air conditioning systems, we've updated air compressors in the building, everything we could to continue to try to get the cost down.
Maybe you could get in the Paris Climate Agreement.
I don't know about that. I would go forward with the water runoff on the parking lot, but the mayor told me to leave that one alone.
I told him if he could prove it didn't rain on his property, we'd talk.
Do you own the marina, or do you own the building that the marina's in?
I own the Marine Center that sells the boats, and I happen to also own the building that it's in, along with the one next door that the Cass Richards Systems left.
And you've been there since when?
Started in February 10th of 2001.
You know John Holzer?
I'm sorry?
Do you know a John Holzer?
Yeah, how do you know John Holzer?
Well, I was just at his farm a week ago.
That's my father-in-law. I'm married to his daughter.
I was wondering if that was you.
That is I.
Yeah. My wife used to work for John,
Okay.
and he had us down to his farm.
The cabin?
Yeah. Very nice.
It's a very nice place. Kids spend a lot of time there, all the grandkids.
Yeah.
Is that with Holzer Construction?
No.
No.
A cash register system, it's not a connected building, right? Is it, am I right?
No, it is a separate building. Future hopes is to, as well, power that building.
Been the best one to start off with, I think.
The problem is having enough flat area that faces south that's unobstructed to be able to put the panels up, because it takes a lot of panels.
Understood.
If anybody wants to see what about $700,000 worth of parts from China and Pakistan and India look like, there are a few boxes that came from the United States, unfortunately not many, but they're in my warehouse.
You might not like the mayor's new import tax on those products. I'm just joking.
I gotta talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I should have not come tonight, I don't know.
We'll pretend like we didn't hear it, okay?
Rely on revenue from permits.
I mean, it's a vital part of that office. And my question to him, which kind of leads into that, what is the $1,000 amount you stated, which would be the highest right now? Is that something that you would be agreeable to? I don't know exactly what you're asking for.
Well, I was hoping you would pay for half the solar system. That's probably
Yeah.
not going to work. So, yeah, I just think it should be fair with,
With
if-
other municipalities.
somebody from the city's got to, at some point in time, inspect it. I know there's some
Right.
time and effort involved with that. I
You
understand
got
that.
building commissioner, you got the electrical commissioner, there's administrative costs, there's other costs in there. And, I mean, I think in the 6 years I've been here, this is the first time anyone's came up and actually asked about something, and I can understand why you're asking that. You're putting a considerable investment, but I think, I don't think $1,000 out of line on either end, and that's just my guess, but we've got cost involved in it too, and that beats 27,000, so,
With a stick?
yeah.
In a
So,
heartbeat.
I mean, I don't know what the exact amount would be, but I would think that would be a fair estimate and something to entice you to stay in Beech Grove and your employees spending their dollars in Beech Grove. But that's the main thing. We're not anti-business, but at the same time, we've got to cover our cost and so forth. And I don't know when that 10 cents a square foot ever came in. It was long before we ever came here.
All right. Anything else, Mike?
No, I greatly appreciate your all's time.
Thank you for your information.
Thanks, Mike.
I wanted you to hear his presentation and have input. My recommendation to you is we should still require permits on the roof and the electrical. That serves us from an assessed valuation standpoint as a city. This is a rare occurrence. We should all promote green environmental initiatives such as his. And Dan said it a little while ago. I don't know of anybody in the last 6 years that has came forward to ask for assistance for solar panels. I think this is an isolated case. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if this body required permits and inspection fees by the building commissioner's office and the electrical inspector's office, and then waive the rest. Having said that, what's good for one is good for all, and should someone else come forward, either in a house or another business, requesting the same thing, I think we should act accordingly. That's my recommendation to you.
So, when you say your recommendation, are you saying that you would support us kind of maybe modifying the ordinance to cap it like he said Lawrence did?
No,
Or
I
just waive
would,
it altogether?
no, I would recommend in this occurrence that we assist this business. That's my recommendation.
So do you know how much it would, what you said you supported as far as the electrical inspection and the other inspections?
It's $75 per inspection.
Okay.
because we have to document it that it happened. And we have to document what it's worth.
So is the ordinance that we talked about last year where we raised fees, is that is that?
That's it, yeah, that's it right
part of
there.
this? And that's exactly what I said then, when I didn't want to raise them as much because I was afraid that this same type of a thing would
And you
happen.
did, because they would have been more.
Right. So.
That
I would
particular
think
area
that-
wasn't raised.
I mean, how do my fellow counselors feel about maybe just modifying the ordinance to cap it at $1,000 like Lawrence did?
The only thing I have a problem is trying to modify anything that's, that we don't have in writing in front of us, but would be one thing.
So
But as
are
far
we
as-
within the law to just do something today for this particular instance?
I think you ought to sponsor an ordinance and make it retroactive.
Okay.
How soon
How's that
are you doing this?
Yeah.
I'm waiting, I was waiting for the meeting so I get my roofing permit.
Oh, okay, that quickly, okay. So I think, he's in a difficult position too, to act, on the council to.
So are we, because we've never acted quickly, so, you might.
So I would say that, I would think that if we modify the ordinance to cap it at $1,000 like Lawrence did, that would certainly pay for those fees. And tonight maybe put forth a resolution to make this retroactive to today for this gentleman now, and then we'll work through the ordinance. Does that sound good to everyone?
Is that legal on
I
your
mean,
end?
what do you mean by the resolution? I think the best way to handle this is at the August 7th meeting, somebody needs to sponsor an ordinance, and we can hear it then.
All three readings in the
Well,
same,
we could, I mean, it's gotta pass unanimously.
unanimously, correct?
Well, in the meantime, he's waiting a month to get his roof put on. I'm not unsympathetic to that.
No, I'm not either, but the question is we do have something that was voted in that
But
we want to be careful on, I would say.
Say that again, buddy, please.
We have a law that's in place that whatever it takes to make it right, Craig seemed to be a little apprehensive maybe on trying to bring anything up now in the way we talked about.
Well, it only affects this gentleman, so why don't we hear it at the next meeting and then make it retroactive just to that one person? We're not gonna have 20 people come up and say, hey, this applies to me. It's just the one.
So what would the clerk do then? Would he charge him $1,000 fee, or would he charge him the full amount and then reimburse him?
Right, I think the easiest way to handle that is there's $1,000 fee, and that covers everything. And, because you never know how many inspections you're gonna have, they could have one or they could have 20. You just don't know, and there's more than just electrical, there's several things, and so I would just say you do it at $1,000, there's no refund. If it's less, there's no more if it's more. And that way we're helping him out at the same time as helping the city out.
So if he proceeds with what he's saying today, we would just charge him 1,000.
That would be my recommendation on how to do it.
Yeah, but somebody still needs to sponsor an ordinance.
Right.
Oh, I can do that. I'll be
Okay.
glad to do that.
Your take, Mike? All right?
I'm a little bit confused.
Well,
Does that mean you're gonna give me like a one-time exception to do this, and I can come tomorrow and bring my roofer over and get a permit to start? Or you're gonna make me wait 30 days to start? I don't need a whole ordinance, I just need you guys to go, maybe he's got something here, this maybe makes sense for him and for the city. Why don't we just vote, hey, we don't need to change an ordinance today, we just need to make this one particular project a $1,000 project fee.
Have a unanimous decision on that.
My position on that is the clerk said we're gonna make it retroactive to you. It only affects you. I mean, what's your concern?
I think the time frame is this
Yeah, I think you should go ahead.
I think when you come in tomorrow, you're gonna get charged $1,000, and then we'll make it work in the books as to why you didn't pay $27,000.
Is that correct, Dan?
Well, you're getting in some muddy water there, because what's gonna happen is every time we find a contractor out there working, they cannot work until a permit is issued. And I'm afraid, like Craig, that we're issuing a permit on something that is against ordinance. Wouldn't you agree with that, or?
Well, I mean,
I want to help him out as much as we can. I'm just not sure how to go about it.
my thing is it only affects one person.
Right.
And we don't want to keep him from moving forward. I think the ordinance we sponsor at the next meeting just shows that, you know, in this one case, and then it's enforced through your office, so for the time being, have it be $1,000.
Okay. I've got no problem with that compliance. You got any problem with them working like that? Okay. I'm tickled to death with it if you guys are all happy.
I would need a motion to allow Mr. Hoffman to proceed with the issuance of a permit for his building, not to exceed $1,000.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. You are welcome. All right. We have one other special presentation that is not on the agenda, and I'll defer to the council president pro tem for the council's appointment to the fire department merit board. Buddy?
This doesn't have to be voted on now, but we do have an opening on the merit board for the fire department. Don Smith it's the position he holds currently, and I believe that Don Smith wants to serve again, but we have to reappoint him. Now, we can reappoint Don Smith tonight to the merit board, back to his position, or if the council likes more time to think about it, or talk to other people.
I don't know him. Is he here tonight?
No, and it would not be his fault. He would not know to be here.
Okay.
Don Smith has been, I think, appointed at least twice. Mayor, am I wrong or right?
Oh, you're right.
Twice to the merit board by previous councils. He's the president of the merit board certainly recommends him. He is the one that I spoke with the other day as far as Don Smith's reappointment.
Well, let me interject something here. I think all appointments are ongoing until they're replaced, so
That's
it's
correct.
not an issue. He's still serving on the merit commission, so.
It's just our job to get it done.
Right, get it filled.
His term's up until.
Right.
And if everybody wants to, if anybody has any comments, I mean, we can, because of what Dan even said, we could just bring this up at the next meeting, give anybody a chance to talk to Don Smith if they like. But we at least wanted to get his name out here because this has been kind of something we probably should have had done before now, of course. All right.
How long has he been on the merit board, you know?
He's been on it since
one term is 4 years, so
since
8
it
years.
started, right?
When did it start? When did he start?
Oh, boy.
It was before you were mayor. I'm right.
I was fire chief.
Yeah.
05 maybe, 04, 05?
Probably at least a couple years or a year before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my recommendation now is that we just, unless somebody says, hey, I'm ready to get it over with, we'll just put it on the agenda for next meeting to be voted on. And if somebody has anything to add to that, they'll have time to do it. Is that fair? That'd be good for now.
Sure, thank you. Council, you've been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated June 5th, 2017. In your packet was the incorrect minutes. They were dated May, so we can either approve the June minutes or the May minutes twice. So, floor is open for any questions, comments, or corrections.
Okay. And the roll call. I wasn't here.
Okay.
Okay.
On page 5, it's got you as absent.
Going on the front.
Yeah, no, in the front it's not.
Chris?
On Buddy's comments on page 5, about midway through that paragraph, it starts out, the no Mecca in place as far as radio communications, and he thinks the mayor had some suggestions that were great and will work, and he wanted to put it on the record. Are you good with that? Because it doesn't really flow well.
Well, first of all,
I had trouble understanding what you meant.
First of all, the word Mecca is spelled wrong in here. That would be over in the old country, but it'd be all capital M-E-C-A. Well, let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, M-E-C-A. But, yeah, it doesn't really word right. What it's trying to say is that before, the previous radio system for police and fire was funded through the county as a whole, Beech Grove, Lawrence, Indianapolis, and so on, and also funded through, managing that was a group called Mecca. And Mecca kind of worked pretty hard to make sure that all county dollars were used for the radio systems. And the past couple times they've upgraded, started in 1990. And I think what that is trying to say there is that without Mecca in place, that we were going to at least try to look at, talk to someone within Annapolis or the county to see if there were any monies, especially since we have 911 dollars that go there. So if I can just, in brief, that's what it means. Without Mecca no longer in existence, maybe we can try to act as part of what they did on our part. It's not a deal breaker here, but
I just wanted to check with you on it. It didn't flow well, and I couldn't understand what you meant.
Any other corrections or comments or questions on the minutes? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes dated Monday, June 5th, 2017, with the correction on roll call.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Thank you, council.
Hey, Mayor, while
yeah.
I had a chance, and Counselor Day would be the seventh person up here, and just wanted everyone to know that he called in, he had a last-minute emergency and just couldn't be here tonight.
Okay.
So.
All right. Item number 6, public comments. I'll defer to city legal.
Sure, we got 4 people signed up this evening, and the first one's Tammy. Tammy, will you state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is Tammy Wadlington, and I live at 75 South 10th Avenue. I'll introduce my boys. This is Gabriel and Alexander. They're accompanying me to this evening. I've come here to ask you all to continue the conversation on General Ordinance Number 7. I know that some comments and some concerns have been brought up, and I really appreciate those. I think that they're valuable, and I think that they need to be heard and they need to be addressed. What I do not think is that they need to end the discussion. I do not think that they are that they carry enough weight to throw everything out, because if you really read through the ordinance carefully, anybody who has, and I think a lot of the folks maybe didn't read it carefully enough to really understand how a lot of the complaints and the concerns are actually addressed in the way the ordinance is written. It protects from predators. It protects from a number of pest issues and things like that. And I think that those are, they deserve to be discussed. Questions should be asked. There are answers for them. I am of the mindset that when there are problems, we ought to work together to solve them. Any of the issues and any of the complaints and concerns that are brought up can be said about pretty much any pet that anyone would have. We hear constant complaints about, well, somebody's dog is barking too much, somebody's husband is setting off too many fireworks, whatever's going on. We solve those problems together as a community. That's what we do. We talk. And we make sure that we're sharing honest and open information, and if we disagree, we do it politely. And I would like to see that conversation continue to happen. I would like for all of you to pass the second reading of Ordinance Number 7. I really hope that you will support that. As a family, a lot of people say, well, why? Eggs are cheap. I can get them for less than $1 a dozen at the store, $3 to $4 a dozen at the farmer's market. So why on earth would you care about raising the chickens and going through all the hassle of building the coop and getting the permits and whatever, all the rigmarole? This is my answer. When I go to Aldi and I get 59-cent $1 a dozen or less than $1 a dozen eggs, they get nothing out of it. It's cheap. It's easy for me. But it's not instilling the work ethic in my children. It's not connecting them to where their food comes from. It's not teaching them to be men who take responsibility and are rewarded for their efforts. I want to instill those values in my children. What I understand from speaking to many of my neighbors, who several are lifelong Beech Grovers, Vito shared last week. What I understand is that, last month, sorry. What I understand from them is that most of you grew up with chickens in Beech Grove. And from what I can tell, nobody's any worse for the wear. And from what I hear, when I hear the stories, I just spoke with my neighbor Ray, and he talked about his little rooster that would sit on his arm. And he tried to give it to a neighbor, but it kept coming back home to him, and he was just a boy. And it was a valuable experience in his life. It was a valuable experience in the lives of many Beech Grovers. And I think that my children who are growing up here and I hope growing into to be good citizens, they're good neighbors. That my son here mows the lawn for our single lady that lives next door. I would like them to be afforded those same opportunities. I would like to raise good men, and this is one of the ways that I'm trying to do that. And so if you would please support this and please continue the conversation, we can address the problems, we can find solutions, we can build our community together. It doesn't need to be contentious. There's no reason for it to be contentious. There are answers. So, yes?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What kind of uniform are you wearing?
It's an Air Force dress blues, sir.
I recognized it.
He's a cadet in the Civil Air
Civil
Patrol.
Air Patrol? Congratulations.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Leah Pez? Please state your name and your address.
My name is Leah Pitts, and I live at 1706 Yazoo Drive. Thank you guys for letting us bring to you our concerns about General Ordinance Number 7. I too am in support, as Tammy is, of our hens in Beech Grove. Major reasons, I know that a lot have talked about, the health concerns, the noise ordinance concerns, and the sanitation issues, and I want to talk about those few things with you and answer any other questions that you might have. First being a noise ordinance. A flock of 10 chicks, or 10 hens, as they get bigger, would produce a sound no larger or louder than two human beings having a normal conversation. Your average dog bark is at 90 decibels, whereas the human conversation is between 60 to 70. So in a yard on the average size of Beech Grove, your neighbors wouldn't even hear it, or wouldn't even mind a little coodling, because that's all the chickens do, just a little sweet coodle. Again, with the General Ordinance 7, we would not allow roosters, which again, they would be more like a dog bark in the loudness of that. Secondly, waste and odor. Your average dog, 40 pounds, would produce about 40 pounds of, or 3.5 pounds per day of dog feces, whereas 10 chickens only would produce 2/3 of a pound. It's a lot different than just one dog in a yard rather than 10 chickens. Our ordinance calls for 6 chickens, so do the math, it's even less. The third and final thing that I want to talk to you about is the concerns about sanitation and health. There's a lot of news media slandering, in my opinion, about the the health concerns with salmonella and outbreaks that have occurred over the years. Recently, this year, the CDC released a study for the spring, and they found only 374 cases in all of America of salmonella outbreak, either with the handling or from the egg production from insanitary hatcheries. If you do the math, 301 million United States Americans, that average of people that could contract salmonella is well less than 1% of the population. Do the math for our 14,500 Beech Grove citizens, it's even less. So I think the health concerns with that, and then with the community that we've heard in the Beech Grove Facebook pages and through the emails that we've received, I think we can squelch that, because the ordinance does a really good job about laying out, we need to make it clean, we need to keep it, away from your neighbor's properties, and, even with the permits and the running of the, I don't know what even to call it, yearly, annual kind of inspections that it addresses. I think those things would just kind of work themselves out. And if anything, chicken owners could then have a chance to say, oh, okay, so I need to be a little bit better, given the chance, just like if you were to smell your dog's feces from the neighbor's yard, you would go to that neighbor and say, hey, can you clean up a little bit more? That kind of thing. So those sorts of things I'd like to take into your consideration and have you have a chance to ask me any questions or any thoughts from that.
I appreciate your your pointing out about the CDC and infections. We all work in hospitals, go to hospitals. Hospitals are the dirtiest places you can go to. You have more of a chance of picking up methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. There's the bacteria that all of us go visit. There's a chance of getting bacteria and infections from just a hospital is by far greater than a few chickens.
Yeah.
Was that study on like factory farms too? Or was it just like urban farming?
It was urban farming. What the article addressed was the concerns with folks that want to have backyard coops on a small scale, many less than 40 chickens, and we're talking Beech Grove 6 chickens. So the chance of, and even with not every 15,000 of us are going to have a coop with 6 chickens. You're talking, a small percentage of our even small population would even have a coop and with 6 hens in it. That the idea of the urban farming, it's growing. Irvington, Carmel, Indianapolis. I mean, we have support of the areas around us. So I just think that in the mindset also with, green living and being able to sustain ourselves, even with our little farmers markets that we have, our local citizens could contribute to those things with our local eggs. So that's another thing, random thought in my head, sorry.
I know Columbus, Indiana, if you take the looks of Columbus, Indiana, they failed an ordinance last year, but then came back and passed one.
Mhm.
And chicken manure is great for fertilizing your gardens.
That's another thing.
I read that CDC report, and they cited the primary cause of getting the disease is just improper handling.
Improper handling, which, the number one thing with anything, we all know the big thing with even preventing the flu is to wash your hands.
It's all
and, a lot of people are like, don't eat next to your chicken. Don't let your chicken, run around your kitchen. Duh. I mean, you don't really, you wouldn't let, your dog, sit there and go to the bathroom on your kitchen counter. Would you let your chicken? Kind of, it's the same concept with health, so.
You live on Yazoo?
I do.
Do you have a privacy fence?
I do.
You already have chickens?
I might.
I think you may. Was one of those chickens running around the neighborhood yesterday?
It is not anymore.
Somebody put on Facebook there was one on Yazoo Drive. Wasn't yours?
No.
All right, anything
I
else?
figured it might have crossed the road for a reason, I don't know.
Anything
Uh-huh.
else for Leah?
She
Might
tried to
have.
attend the council meeting
Show
this
possible
evening.
vacuum, it could be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my favorite
All
joke.
right, Linda.
That's my favorite joke.
I have nothing to add. They brought up all the things that I was concerned about. I would just like for there to be dialogue and more consideration. Thank you.
So you are for it or against it?
I'm for it.
All right.
Ed Bell. State your name,
Hello,
your
council.
address.
I'm Ed Bell, 115 South 10th Avenue, and it feels strange to be on the opposite side here. I'm here to talk about Ordinance 7. First of all, I'm not opposed of it at all. I'm going to be speaking for being a citizen, but also being a compliance officer, because I know everything's going to be somewhat coming down to my and Mark's department. It's no surprise, or it may be to some, that what you guys are talking about on the ordinance, you don't really have anything to say, because people can have chickens already because in Marion County. But this is the opportunity for Beech Grove to have constraints and some strong rules to oversee what's going to be happening into the community with our neighbors. Some of the concerns that I hear, since I was a previous councilman, I'm getting a lot of phone calls because people know my cell. They bypass the city hall. But for one, going through some of the ordinance, a permit, $5. We charge $26 a year for handicap parking. And all I have to do is go down the street to see if they've got a tag. Chickens is a little bit different. This is livestock, which we need to know who's got them, for one. And if they are abiding by what our ordinance is saying, the size of the coop, the number of chickens, and so forth like that. Our animal control officer is the one that's going to be the one that has to approve the coops, and should have yearly inspections, because once it's over, they need to look at it again. Also, you should have in the ordinance, inspections just drop in, because I know we're going to have complaints. We have complaints all the time just on grass cutting. I know we're going to have it on chickens as far as the odor or noise or whatever. So this is the time to really discuss and get this ordinance right, okay, for Beech Grove, our citizens. And if you guys can just sit back, take a breath, look, do some research. There's plenty of things on the internet that shows you how the proper way to raise chickens and to clean and handle. That's all I'm wanting to make sure that we have here. Yes, someone was saying, yeah, well, we can have it, then if the horse gets out of the stables, then we'll talk about how we get him back in. Well, this is time to try to stop some of that, and the ordinance with $5, I would say a minimum of 500 to or 100, in between 100 to 5, because the city, we're going to be inspecting we're paying our employees to do this, and it's a burden, and it's also a burden on the clerk treasurer. Maybe you want to be a possibility of having the funds and money collected over at the police station rather than City Hall. Okay, because the animal control's over there. He's the one that's gonna have to go out.
I just saw the chief's expression.
I understand. I didn't have time to talk to Mark on that, but just throwing a possibility out. This is still for discussion. This is only coming up the first read, or second read, so, just careful consideration on that, if you would. Thank you.
You live on 10th Street?
I think so. My wife had
The
kicked
way
me
the
out,
ordinance is written, would this fit in your backyard?
Well, any of the yards in the older section where Tammy lives and myself, they're pretty small. And if you start looking at what the size of the coop and the dimensions and so forth, the property lines in the old is only 2 feet from the property line. So you're on top of each other. So if my neighbor's raising chickens, I am too, more or less. Because I'm gonna be hearing them or smelling them or whatever and hoping my neighbor keeps them clean. I mean, I was on the farm and I know how I had to go in and clean the coops a lot. And some lady was talking about the dog feces and so forth. That's correct. But you don't cut your grass in the coop. So you don't worry about stepping in it as much as you do in the yard. So it builds up. And that's where the odor starts. So we've got to have some constraint here, some controls, is what I'm saying for the city.
Okay, now you grew up on the farm, and when you was around chickens, there's probably 100, 200 chickens. We're talking 6 at each establishment. Now, these people keep their coops clean and everything. You won't smell them that much.
Well, the key is if.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. What I'm saying is, it does build up.
Well, oh, yeah.
And it gets, and that's fine. I mean, what I'm saying is, if there ends up being a complaint, okay, of a neighbor, then who's gonna have to go out and check it? Either animal control or compliance. Well, we're on the payroll. So, that takes time out of whatever else we have to do to make sure people's in compliance. So, that's the key there, is the amount of money, plus also making sure we have a proper record of who has the chickens, who is raising them.
I kind of look at this from another point of view, because we're putting through another ordinance tonight that is removing a lot of requirements with bonfires. You used to have to go to permit with bonfires.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't have to go to permit anymore, hopefully, if
Right.
it's passive.
I agree with that.
But it's going to be dealt with on a complaint basis. So if we free up permits on the chicken coops, make sure that they're showing us what they're going to do, that we register them.
Right.
They make sure that if they're inspected, I don't even know if they need to be inspected. Maybe they show us photos of their plans.
Right.
But that's freeing up, it's putting a less restriction, less of a burden on you. If it's where you're having to be reactive, or I'm saying proactive, for the inspection and the permit and the registration, or rather being reactive on a complaint basis, what would you rather have? I mean, that's where we can address some of this wording in here.
I didn't catch all that because I have a hearing. Could you speak up a
So
little bit?
what I'm saying is, I talked about the bonfires and how we're removing the permits.
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to change the wording up, that still has requirements with the coop, the sizing, everything.
All right.
But rather than paying a permit, getting a permit for it, possibly registering, showing your plans, but you would only have to do this on a complaint basis rather than have to be proactive and go out there and make sure that it's in compliance. I mean, you have to trust that the homeowners that want to do this are doing it because they want to do it for their families and food. They're not just going to say, well, hey, honey, now we can get chickens. Let's run down to the mart and get a bag full of chickens.
Well,
it doesn't work that way.
I understand that, but seeing what I have now from coming from the, sitting there to here and seeing what's going on out in the community, biggest majority of the people do. But there's few that don't. And that's why we make laws. I mean, if we say the speed limit's 30 miles an hour, why do we have to have police?
But people that break the law don't worry
until
about it.
someone complains.
That's
It's
my
going to
point.
happen, but we have to have a little bit of controls.
I understand.
And the time it takes for our animal control person to go out and approve to see if those coops are the right size and the way it's described in the ordinance, that's going to take time. And why not pay and help the city? I mean, if you want to give it away, that's fine with me. But I'm just saying, being fiscal with my tax dollars, I want to make sure everything is run efficient myself.
Oh, I
And
understand.
that's what laws are for and ordinances are for. So why don't we have control and make sure, because if we're wanting to have the people to have them, we should have a permit, they should pay something, we record it, and we have to know that they renew it every year, and we should have something in there that can allow the animal control person to come on at any particular time if there's a possible suspicion of more chickens on the property or whatever, at random, okay? We should address some of that. But yes,
agree with
Vito,
you.
I understand what you're talking about on some of that, but we have to have some little more control than just, it's a good measure, we'll trust people. It
Anything
doesn't
else for
happen
Ed?
a lot.
You guys have a question for Ed?
Thanks, Ed.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, go ahead, Ed. I respectfully disagree with one thing Ed said. The city's current ordinance says there's no poultry, and that's chicken. The Marion County, City County Council a couple years ago passed an ordinance that you can have 12. Just like we opted out of the smoking ban, we have our own ordinances on chickens, and right now they're enforceable as it stands. And I've talked to some people in the corporation council, and they don't disagree with my interpretation of our particular ordinance right now. So, in other words, our ordinance would trump Indianapolis's at this point.
Anybody else sign up to speak? Coach?
Now, that's it.
Okay.
Anybody else want to speak?
I'm sorry, I didn't know about signing up. I actually do not live in Beech Grove. My daughter's have co-residency in Indianapolis.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Char Walker.
Where do you live?
I live in Indianapolis,
Your
but my
address,
daughters live in Beech Grove. They live on Alton.
Can you give
Part-time.
us your address?
Huh?
Address, please.
Their address is 1898 Alton, part-time.
Okay, what's yours?
Oh, I'm 2826 Perkins. I'm Indianapolis. But I'm here to speak for my daughters, for their home in Beech Grove. I'm here to represent them because I believe they have a voice in this too. I just found out about this meeting about a couple hours before it happened, so I apologize for not signing up. I sent an email. My youngest daughter is high-functioning autistic. She is homeschooled. She loves her chickens. It's a part of her curriculum. It helps her be able to take and communicate better because she learns to care. She's learning science. She's learning husbandry. She can't take that to her father's house. You guys have denied that to her. My older daughter, I have a picture here I would like to show you all. She is 12 years old. She has skills that most kids will never have. My 12-year-old, I'd like to pass it across, is giving a chicken a bath. We keep our chickens clean. They're learning chemistry. They're learning biology. They're learning sustainable living. They're learning all the stuff that they need to learn, and they're doing it at home. I highly recommend you consider those facets. They're learning different breeds, so we've got genetics.
Does the chicken like being bathed?
She did. She's not fighting. I couldn't believe I got the picture. That's my daughter with autism. See her? Beech Grove would deny them the access to these skills. They would deny them the ability. Oh, and I'm a single mother that works less than part-time. So that fee that he's proposing, do you guys do that for dogs or cats or sugar gliders? I'm curious. Do we have any ordinance in the Beech Grove area for those creatures?
No, there's not.
Thank you. Do they have random inspections in the yards for those guys?
No.
Or do we trust our citizens in Beech Grove? I'm just curious, I'm sorry. So I just wanted to share those pictures because I am an Indianapolis resident, because I do already have those rights, because I do believe in sustainable living, because I do hear the cries from where that marsh shut down. Food desert should not be a word on the lips of any citizen in Indiana. You look at a seed and it pretty much sprouts. If you have chickens, you have eggs. We would have had a lot less people worrying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you want to speak? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Melody Torres. I live at 158 North 3rd Avenue. My kind of big thing on the chickens, I know that there's definitely pros and cons, and I feel everyone on both sides of the argument. I think they're definitely good conversations. One thing that I would definitely like to be considered is the vast difference between at-home raised eggs versus mass production. If you've ever tasted the difference, it is very large. At-home raised chickens, they have a very golden color yolk. Their shell is extremely difficult to break. And if you have ever seen a video of the circumstances that they raise chickens in that are mass produced, that we get our $1 for a dozen carton of eggs, it's pretty disgusting. There are also studies that I know that are run with meat. A lot of people turn vegan because there are studies that prove that there is cancer that is caused from eating meat. But the mass majority of those actually go away when you raise animals properly, when they're raised grass-fed, not corn, when they're not contained to a small cage consistently. When they're raised like they should be raised, there is a huge difference in nutrients and things that you receive. I'm going to be schooling. This is my oldest daughter. She's 5. She'll be 6 tomorrow. I'm sure she wants everyone to know. And we're going to do the at-home public school option. I love Hornet Park. She adored it. But there's just a break in society that I really feel is happening, and it's happening in our food culture as well. And I really don't want this as my daughter's future. I would adore and love to be able to have an at-home garden, and I know that chickens help make that very sustainable as something that is more organic versus having constant things to kill all of the bugs. So these are all things that I really, really want to incorporate in our day-to-day lives, and that when hopefully she can, move through courses a little more quickly. And I have to come up with things that she can do that's educational. And there is nothing more kinesthetic for her to learn hands-on than working in a vegetable garden, learning how to take care of other things. And I would also completely adore to send this out to the masses that, we can help take care of the less fortunate that are around us. There's a lot of people, and I've heard so many conversations about the people who sit on the highway. And, my daughter could get involved. We could get involved as a family to really break chains like that. And, a $500 fee for having 6 chickens is more than we could handle. I have a 5-month-old and a 4-year-old. And I stay at home, and this would be something that would help support my family, and it would support it in a multifaceted way. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comments. Committee reports, the RDC, the ABC, and the Greenscape Commission did not meet in June. Compliance Division should have a report in your packet along with public safety. And Dan, you want to do a financial report?
Sure. Good evening, councilors. On June 13th, we paid our payment on our tax anticipation warrant. I wanted to pay it in full to save the interest for the remainder of the year, but they would have still charged us the interest. So we just made a payment of $656,318, of which $8,818 was interest. We also made the following lease purchase payments. The senior bus, $5,630.98. Our property tax money came in on June 28, 2017. The city received $2,465,033.77. Sewage special collections were $63,987.10, and the RDC received $443,294.62. Also, I have heard that the city will receive an approximate 20% increase in LR&S. Right now, we get approximately $14,000 to $15,000 per month. So the 20% increase will equal approximately $2,800 to $3,000 monthly. The majority of our LR&S is funded through our monthly LOIT and COIT tax dollars. After studying state statute my first year in office, I learned that you could use a percentage of those tax dollars to fund the LR&S. Previously, only funds specified to LR&S were budgeted for paving, and that was approximately $200,000, hence why there wasn't much money for paving. In 2012, there was $205,000 budgeted for paving, and in 2013, I increased the budget on that at that time to $490,000. Since that time, it has never dropped below the $490,000. A reminder to everyone that in Peter's financial fiscal plan, he only called for an increase in revenue of approximately $200,000 for this next year. It will take every bit of that to fund payroll raises and increase insurance and taxes. The city website continues to grow and is a great asset to the citizens. It is a valuable resource to many. It still has not cost taxpayers 1 penny since its inception. Community events can be added free of charge by emailing me at dan.mcmillan@beechgrove.com. Thanks to the website volunteers who continue to keep it updated at no cost to the taxpayers. Financial reports, debt service, bank balances, and more can be found on the city website at www.beechgrove.com. The bank balance for the corporation at the end of the month was $5,057,568.31, and the utility had $1,185,037.69. As always, if you have any questions, my door is always open. Thank you. Respectfully submitted, Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Hey, Dan, do you foresee a time when we can get off the tax anticipation warrant completely?
Next year, what my plans are now, and I've talked to Regions and I've talked to Huntington, and next year I'm going to try to do a line of credit where we don't borrow any money whatsoever. I talked to the people at the Indiana Bond Bank this last year. I felt like they just took advantage of us, and when I talked to them a week or two ago, they said, well, interest rates have went up. Well, not to the point of from 0.77 to 2.77% interest. So, and to answer your question, I'm going to try next year without a tax anticipation warrant.
Well, I applaud you on that. That was my dream when I was the clerk treasurer because of how expensive it was then, and I would, if I had...
I was told by our financial advisor 2 years ago I could never get off this tax anticipation warrant, and I disagree with him totally, and it'd be the best thing that ever happened to this city.
I agree.
Is to not borrow that. I think when I first started out, ours was a little over $2 million, and this year here was 1.3, and I wanted to pay it back in early May, and they said, well, you're going to pay the interest. So anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Well, I applaud you on that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I second that. It's, you know, he's always trying to look for ways to take care of those type of costs. And that line of credit thing, is that something other communities have used to try to get away from a tax?
You know, I
anticipation
don't
warrant?
know, but here's what's funny about it. I deal a lot of times with downtown regions. The local branch manager says, why don't we do this and even bypass, downtown? And I mean, a lot of businesses do it. It's, not unheard of on that. And, if you borrow the money, you pay the interest on it. If you don't owe them anything.
Did they say what rate of interest that would be?
No.
If we had to borrow any of it?
No, but he seemed to think that he could at least get it at the 2.77 we're at right now.
Excellent.
And like I say, it just frustrated me from the standpoint of you try to pay it back and no, you got to pay an extra $8,000, so.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it's not overwhelming, but it's just you look to save money wherever you can.
Good job.
Thank you.
And thank you to you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Any other comments on committee reports? If not, we'll move to unfinished business. General Ordinance Number 3, 2017, continues to be tabled until we hear from the IURC and citizens. General Ordinance Number 5, 2017, is up for approval on second reading this evening. It is the additional appropriation grant funding ordinance, and I'll ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 5, 2017 is an additional appropriation grant funding. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. The fund name is the General Fund, Department, Board of Works, Major Budget Classification, Capital Outlays, $215,000. Amount approved, $215,000. Total for General Fund, $215,000. And amount approved is $215,000. Fund name, Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project. Major Budget Classification, Capital Outlays, $215,000 is the amount. Amount approved is $215,000. Total for Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Fund. Amount $215,000. Amount approved $215,000. Whereas the Beech Grove City Council executed on September 16, 2016, the MPO grant named the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project and approved funding and cash flow for the same. Now therefore, be it further ordained by the Beech Grove City Council that the above general fund capital outlay Additional appropriation amount is to be transferred to the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project Fund to maintain a positive cash flow, adopted this 10th day of July 2017.
Thank you. General Ordinance number 5, 2017 is up for approval on second reading only. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I make motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. General Ordinance number 5, 2017 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening. This time I'll defer to the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General Ordinance number 5, 2017, an additional appropriation grant funding. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Fund name is General Departments Board of Works. Major budget classification is capital outlays. Amount is $215,000. Amount approved, $215,000. Total for general fund, $215,000. Amount approved is $215,000. Fund name is Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project. Major budget classification, capital outlays. Amount is $215,000. Amount approved, $215,000. Total for Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Fund, $215,000 is the amount. Amount approved is $215,000. Whereas the Beech Grove City Council executed on September 16, 2016, the MPO grant named the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project and approved funding and cash flow for the same. Now therefore, be it further ordained by the Beech Grove City Council that the above general fund capital outlay additional appropriation amount is to be transferred to the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project Fund to maintain a positive cash flow, adopted this 10th day of July 2017.
Thank you. General Ordinance number 5, 2017 is up for approval on third and final reading this evening. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. For those in attendance, they just passed a ordinance to transfer money into a special fund that the Indianapolis MPO, we were awarded a federal grant to put sidewalks on Churchman Avenue between Emerson Avenue and Arlington Avenue, and it was like, I think they give us a little over $1 million to do that. Our portion is 20% of that, so that's what was finalized this evening. And then the same, presentation tonight, the same Indianapolis MPO give us $1.5 million, I think, for the roundabout at Arlington and Churchman to complement this. And then the same MPO give us $2.4 million for the installation of a greenway in 2020. So we've done quite well. General Ordinance number 6, 2017 is up for approval this evening on second reading only. And at this time, I'll defer to the sponsor, Councilor Mascari. Do you have an amendment?
Yeah, buddy, can you have your copy of the one I set over there?
I have this copy. What?
I set one before the meeting on everybody's spot.
Oh.
That was passed out with the. Thank you.
Oh, well then, mine's probably hidden.
Dan will have to have it, read it into the
I did
record.
see
I've got one
need this?
somewhere.
I got one too.
6.
Very bottom of your pile.
Okay.
There's the amendments.
General Ordinance number 6 for the audience is to amend the ordinance allowing open burning for special events like Wiener Roast and whatever without government interference, and having to get a permit every time you'd like to have a bonfire or a Wiener Roast. So I'll defer, and I understand you want to amend the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, if you could, if there's a motion to amend the ordinance, I'll have the clerk read it into the record.
Number 6?
Yeah.
Or
Here's the ordinance.
these?
Yes, that's the
This
amendment.
one here, okay. General Ordinance Number 6, 2017. Proposed amendments to General Ordinance Number 6 submitted by Councilor Mascari. L2, special small fires for the purpose of Wiener Roast, hog roast, and other specialty cooking with open flame is permitted, provided the open fire is contained in an approved container with access to a lid, or is in the ground 6 inches in depth, surrounded by cement blocks or bricks, extending at least 6 inches in height. The fire pit may not exceed an internal diameter of 48 inches. L4, the fire pit must 15 feet away from any residential structures, including houses, garages, and barns. It must also be 15 foot away from overhead utility lines. This is determined by measuring the point on the ground in which the utility crosses and measuring to the fire pit. L5, an operable garden hose and/or a 5-gallon bucket of water must be readily available to extinguish the fire if necessary. And L6, a person over the age of 18 must be present at the resident when a bonfire is lit.
That is the amendments requested by Councilor Mascari to be inserted into General Ordinance Number 6, 2017. This time, I'll ask for a motion to approve the amendments.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Now, General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 is up for approval on second reading only with the amendment. This time, I'll ask for a motion to waive the rules and read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
And we will take a vote individually, beginning on my left.
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 into the record on second reading by title only.
General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 94 and Chapter 98 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Beech Grove as it pertains to open burning.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 6, 2017 is up for approval this evening on second reading only with the amendments. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I have a question, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Vito, the amendment, where did exactly, because the information looks good, where did the information come from? Was some of your amendment figures like the 15, so on? Or would you
Got in
rather-
trouble by IFT one time for a bonfire we weren't supposed to have. That was our rule.
Okay.
This was at a tailgate for the Colts game. Yeah. But
I thought, yeah, the public need to know that you got to violate them first, right?
yeah,
So-
well, you got to violate them sometimes to find them out. So,
That's a good answer.
Motion to approve General Ordinance 6, 2017 with the amendment on second reading. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. I'll present a new ordinance to you with the amendments in it for third reading. We'll hear it on third reading at the August 7th council meeting. General Ordinance Number 7, 2017 is up for approval on second reading only this evening. This time, I'll ask for motion to waive the rules to read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
And we will vote individually on my left.
Title only?
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only.
Title only?
This time I'll ask the clerk to read General Ordinance number 7, 2017 into the record on second reading by title only.
General Ordinance Number 7, 2017 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 90 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to animals.
Thank you. General Ordinance number 7, 2017 is up for approval on second reading. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll
we
make that
discuss?
motion.
Can we discuss
Sure.
before we vote? I know there's a few people that's came to want this, and I do apologize to Vito because when this first came out, I did not read it all the way through. And I did send out, but he has to understand, this came up in the last 4 years ago, back in our, and I, besides Ed, who was on the council, I was the only one here that was on the council. And that, I think that one called for, you had to have at least 2 acres, something like that. And I don't know about the rooster part on that one, I can't remember, but at any rate, when I read this, I thought, well, you know, it's gonna be like the last one. But when I seen it was for basically any property in Beech Grove, I right away, I just quit reading it. So that's my fault, Vito. But I did, when this came out the first time, people in my district, people in other districts said, you're not really gonna pass that chicken law. And I said, I don't know. Well, it was pulled off the books for whatever reasons. And, but I did tell them if it ever come up, I would send them, let them know. And I let maybe 6 people know. And they did go out and distribute it in their neighborhood. One person did, I think. And I clarified, and I did go back and tell them all. It did not, it was 6 chickens, not 12. I said 6 to 12, 1 rooster. I did clarify it. And with anybody that asked. And I did have one gentleman that sent me an email against it, and I told him, no roosters, 6 chickens, whatever. But I will tell you, there's a couple things, and I guess Vito put this out, the debunk about chickens. You put in here about the values go down. That's the biggest complaint I get, is about property values. And and it does say here, you know, I talked to a realtor. Well, I did talk to a realtor. I talked to more than one. They didn't say the property values would go down, but they sure said they wouldn't go up. There's also my concerns, and you also have Indianapolis, and here Indianapolis has only been doing this for a year, so I don't know how we could go by them as far as property values. But my concern is, just like where I live on Woodmont Court, you talk about these coops, and you know, it's all fine and dandy that certain people will take care of them. That's fine. But I can guarantee you, 50 to 75% won't. I had a guy put up a privacy fence in my backyard, his backyard. He asked if he could put it up, and I said, okay, go ahead. Well, that was 20-some years ago. He sold the house, sold it to a guy that got on one of those balloon loans. Now that fence twice has fell in my yard. Compliances went out. They had a hell of a time finding who owned it for probably 2 years. It took them 2 years to find out who owned the property. That fence is still up. It still leans in my backyard. It looks like crap. And I can guarantee you, nobody would want to particularly buy my house the way that privacy fence looks. Or I wouldn't get a good price out of my house, I guess. The same thing's going to happen with some of these chicken coops. Not everybody's going to take care of them. And if I'm stuck looking at this chicken coop out in my backyard that nobody's there, they could have left it who knows how bad, it's not going to help my property sell. I go along with some of the things you have here. Chickens aren't allowed, but I disagree with they will attract rodents and predators. It could happen. Smell, yeah, there's going to be a smell if they don't take care of them. And I guarantee you, oh, little Johnny, you know, we're going to do this for little Johnny, but guess what? Not everybody's going to be like this, the lady that was here before. They're going to let these things go. And it's just going to happen. Hell, we got people in Beech Grove don't even cut their damn grass. Give me a break.
Well, Dave, I think that the issue about the grass, I mean, that's the stuff we need to be addressing. I mean, the people that...
You don't think this won't be addressed, Vito?
I think...
Would your dad want this next to him?
My dad lives in a neighborhood where they have homeowners associations.
No. That Vito, that homeowner association is debunked.
No.
No, it's debunked.
HOAs supersede ordinances.
They have none. Not in your dad's
make that
neighborhood.
Yes, they do. They have an HOA with no
I
outbuildings.
checked with everybody that lives in that neighborhood. They do not have it now. It went out 10 years, it went out after
So
the
all
property
the
was there 10
emails I
years.
got from
10
people
years.
that you gave it to lived in communities that have an HOA that it won't affect them.
Vito, you need to check with somebody because, you know,
I
Craig?
lived there for 23 years.
In Park Meadow?
Or actually, I lived there for
Park
14
Meadow?
years.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, every homeowner that Joe,
You have
live
an
in Park
HOA
Meadow,
at
don't
Park
you?
Meadow?
I hate to tell you, Vito, but we've never had one, to be honest.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, I thought there's a
there's
bylaw.
nothing there.
Because we're not allowed to have barns, right?
Covenants, yes.
There's a covenant that doesn't allow outbuildings. So an outbuilding would be a chicken coop.
Could I interject one thing about the grass, Dave, is that everybody inherits grass. Everybody in town has grass, whether they want it or not. So that's I think a little bit of a difference.
All I'm saying is, I let
got
the
you.
people know, I said, if you don't want this, you better let your council person know. You seen the
Yeah, I saw the emails.
That's
but
all I said.
The common thread with the emails was the property values. There's absolutely no evidence of that. I mean, show me the evidence.
Show me the evidence there's not.
I have sources
No, you
right
haven't.
there.
You said Indianapolis. Indianapolis had this April 16th.
Okay, so Chicago's had it, Orlando, Pittsburgh,
Show me
Miami.
the evidence that people are selling
You
their
think
houses for what they want.
Chicago's property values are going down?
I don't know. I don't live in Chicago.
Well, it's one of the most expensive places to live in the Midwest.
I'm
And
just
they're-
telling you, all right, all I'm saying is, you got the emails.
It's a boogeyman tactic. The property values there's no basis.
I don't know about you guys, but I got the emails, and you'll see what will happen.
Well, they didn't have
I
evidence.
would say if you put this before a referendum, it would be voted down.
Okay.
Probably right.
That's just my
I
thought.
agree with that.
We're talking about food deserts too. So we're bringing up food deserts too.
Bring
So-
up what?
So one of the topics over these meetings has been food deserts, right? About marsh going away.
But there's something else going in there.
But, well, when is it? What is it on Wednesday? What's the big announcement?
There'll be a press conference Wednesday
We don't
here
get to
at
know
1
that?
o'clock.
On grass.
So what I'm saying is we're talking about a food desert. People can't have eggs?
Sure, they can have them. You're talking about farm animals.
It's not a farm animal.
You ever hear of bird flu? Where'd that right from?
Google that too.
We've read it by
All right.
title only.
Mayor, I just wanted to say that I had told a few people that I was definitely a no. I talked to Vito today, and Vito knows that Facebook and a lot of places it's not popular. And he said that I believe this is the right thing to do, and whether it's popular or not, he believed it was the right thing to do. So I do. You kind of made me think about some things just in that light, because I used to think the same way you used to think, and sometimes it gets mixed up. But I wanted to say that the main thing is this is just a second second reading. On the council, I'll look, we pass this or pass that, and it's only been a first or second reading. First and second readings, if something's totally the worst thing in the world, it shouldn't make it. But I almost think that it's indicating giving more time for more people to be aware is what a second reading really means. I will be honest, because I don't have to say this now, but a third reading would be very difficult for me, and I'm still kind of wondering where I'm at on this. I hope to hear from more people who like the chickens, because I will tell you, I have heard from more people that it's just been no, no, no. Until today, and none of the, we don't want chickens in the yard, none of them showed up here today. You guys did show up, and that is meaningful. And you give some good arguments today. So I just wanted to make it clear that I know the next thing we'll read is the council's approving this, even if it gets passed. I don't know if it's going to get passed. So it is second reading. I'm not going to say I didn't admit to this, but it was between actually my wife and you, Vito, who actually got on me. So, and I didn't say you got on me, but made me think.
Well,
So.
the movement towards natural food, organic food, sustainability is not going anywhere. It's not a fad.
Right.
I used to live next door to, I didn't live next door, my friends lived next door to the guy that started Green Bean Delivery. And I remember he started, I was like, man, I don't know if that's going to work. Because I was like, that might be a fad. He's in 6 states now, has 400 employees. It's not going anywhere. I mean, Indianapolis is doing it, and Dave, you're right, it's only been done for a year. You never know. We might see a report and homes can't sell. But I know Bates Hendricks is selling like wildfire. Garfield Park selling like wildfire. Fountain Square, Broderpool, Irvington. I just had a girl that sold her house I know a friend sold a house in Irvington for $80,000. So, for me, you're saying,
I did have two people that, in all
You're
fairness,
saying
sent me an
that-
email that did want it. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't, but I had more that said they didn't.
I understand.
And I
but-
just don't understand the thinking. I would vote for it if it was an acre or more.
But that would eliminate 90% of Beech Grove.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
So that basically just kills it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's what I would do. I don't know what, I can't twist these guys' arms. I'm just telling you.
Peter, let me
That's
ask you a
what I would-
question.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit of someone allude to the fact that Marion County is more lenient on this or less restrictive than us.
I haven't read their ordinance. No, I haven't. I actually was speaking with one of the city council members Sunday. I mean, I'd say it's definitely more lenient. I mean, Indianapolis is a larger area. I mean, the enforcement of that is probably a little bit more difficult. I mean, if we're talking about leniency as far as enforcement, I think it would be, definitely less. I think we need to get a copy of it.
Would a vote yes for this then be more, making Beech Grove?
I think it would be more
restrictive. More restrictive.
I wanted to ask something for this comes from, and she'll hate me mentioning it, but Beth Berg. The word covenant came up, and there are places in Indiana where covenant restrictions or city restrictions tried to stop people from having small gardens, certain animals. That's where I wanted to follow up. It says the Indiana Supreme Court ruled in favor of those people in the long run, that it is their property, and that within an appropriate amount of their property, that realizes they're not in a farm, section of the city or certain type of ordinance, or I want to say what variances. But I think it might be interesting if this moves forward to maybe look up, because I'm not so sure that someone doesn't have some kind of stake legally on that grounds, whatever Beech Grove does. And I just want to throw at your way, maybe to kind of research, if you don't mind, City Attorney.
We're thinking about putting restrictions and fees on people raising chickens in Beech Grove, and we don't have any fees for people raising cats or dogs. And I know of a house that's got probably 20 cats in it, and they come into my yard and do their business, and I got another person that must, at the times, has 10 dogs. And you just smell it all over the neighborhood, and we don't have any restrictions on that. And I don't know, I'm between a rock and a hard place on how I'm gonna vote, but I can't see why we can't allow people to have 6 chickens, as long as they go by the regulation to keep the thing clean.
Personally, I'm not able to have chickens. You need a 5-foot fence. I don't have a 5-foot fence. I'm doing this because I know there are people that want to do this. There's a woman on my street that my kids play with her kids every day. They were on my front porch all day today while I was trying to work from the kitchen table playing Shopkins, and they were constantly wanting to know how the chicken thing's going. So, I mean, I can't have chickens. I got a dog that is pretty loud and probably annoys my neighbors. But I don't need a permit for that either.
General Ordinance number 7 is up for approval on second reading. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
And all those in favor, we'll do it individually, beginning with Chris.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
I'll make it clear it's second reading, and I vote aye.
So it passes on second reading 5-1. We will hear it on third and final reading at the August 7th meeting. That concludes old unfinished business. Under new business, we have 3 items this evening. First item, I've invited the Parks Board to come forward and do some 2018 budget prep work and introduce some ideas to the council, and I want to introduce them all. John Park, who's the president, is here, Joe Grant, and Dan Norris. I don't think I'm missing anybody else. If, Dan, you want to come up and talk to the council, please.
I'm gonna read it, then I'm gonna give you what I have. I'm reading it for the audience.
Thank you. Oh, I got two of them. Oh, no, that's,
Yeah, you don't like that stuff up there.
I'm sure, and I ain't even looked at it yet.
You got a chicken dog park on here?
I don't have any chickens, sorry, but I would support it. I just wonder how many people got permits for their dogs, because I never had one in Beech Grove, and that is an ordinance. I am Dan Norris, I'm the Vice President of the Beech Grove Parks Board. I would like to share some statistics with you before we go into a parks budget. According to the 2010 census for Beech Grove is only 4.4 miles square, with a population of 14,192, with a median age of 34.7 years of age. While the national average for this age bracket is $35,000 a year, the census shows that the median household for Beech Grove is just barely over that at $36,487, with only 5,883 Beech Grove residents working a full 40-hour job. You guys say, why is all that important to me? Well, it's huge. The Beech Grove Community Center struggles to provide with what the minimum budget is that the city gives it. The National Parks and Recreation Association, Indiana Parks and Recreation Association, the American Planning Association have all published documentation that crime goes down, health goes up, property values increase, where there are healthy parks and recreation departments offering multiple opportunities for the residents. Beech Grove is comprised of 5 parks, totaling 72.102 acres. That's just 2.5% of all of Beech Grove. There's 7 baseball diamonds, 4 shelters, a community center, 4 tennis courts, 3 soccer fields, 2 nature areas, 1 dog park, and 3 open playfields or green spaces. The Public Trust for Land rates parks based on the budget that they operate to maintain the park's budget. The 2007 budget would equate to 28.50 cents per resident that goes to parks. That puts Beech Grove just ahead of the last 2 place parks in the top 100. And I hate to say it, but it's Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. The highest rate, Minneapolis, is at $87 per resident. Chicago and Cincinnati are both at $71 per resident. While the Ordinance 22 in 2016 raised the pay rate for the employees of the community center and the park staff, there was no budget increase to cover those costs. The shortage at the community center puts us over budget, and the part-time staff, well, they'll have to close the center due to lack of funding availability. You did pass a position to move the parks time, or move a part-time to full-time last year, but in that position, our revenue to date is halfway through the year, equals the annual revenue of the prior 3 years, with expectations to increase 30% more before the end of the year. This increase is due to more realistic programming, but could also be doubled, just an estimate, next year if we increase the programming budget. For example, in 2018, we would offer 2 different Safe Sitter programs, a 1-day and a 4-day, that would also offer CPR. Life 101, 1 class per month. This program would offer at least once a month. Each class would be 3 to 4 hours focusing on specific life skills. The series would end with a job resource fair. Topics would include financial, banking, budgeting, taxes, loans, credit, and health insurance. Mechanical, changing a tire, oil, or just basic car maintenance. Home, basic sewing, thread work, basic cooking skills, and basic home maintenance. Job, resume building, interviewing, starting a business, basic knowledge of common hand tools, nutrition, gardening, grocery, healthy food choices, and fitness. And it's for safety, first aid, and CPR. Survival camp, 1 program. A 4-day program, 4 hours a day, teaching survival skills such as fire building, knot tying, gardening, outdoor cooking, shelter building, etc. Arts and camps, up to 6 program, offering 2 4 summers, 1 spring, and 1 fall. A 4-day program, 2 to 4 hours a day. Art skills like drawing, painting, mixed media work, thread work will be taught. Each camp will focus on a multiple of skills. Summer lunch program. Lunch provided by Chatwell 2 to 3 times a week, just to put at each park program. Eat well after the bell. A dinner program provided every Wednesday during the school year, once a month, will be a family movie night, dinner, and popcorn. Family games will be provided for the guest and all other dinner nights. Gardening and Backyard Farmer Series. In partnership with Damon Purdue Extension and other series, 2 to 4 hour seminar about all the things related to backyard farming, chickens, food and flowers, gardening, beekeeping, composting, canning, brain barrel, invasive species, etc. An environmental STEAM camp, a 4-day program, 4 hours a day. Junior Team Indiana Masters Nutritionist Certification with Indiana Department of Natural Resources, a 4-day program, 4 hours, involving bringing in speakers to provide information based on IDNR's certification requirements. ICAN, or ICAN, Nature Play. An annual and second week in June is designated Nature Play Day by Indiana Children and Nature. We would offer a publicized through ICAN different outdoor activities each day appropriate for kids and families. Usual summer programs in the parks. 2 to 3 days a week in June and July. Topics would be animal, art, nature. Some of the programs by paid facilitators, some provided by in-house. Community Nature Club, programs related to nature and animals for family groups. Preschool Movie Day, Monday, an AM movie offered for preschool age. Outdoor movie nights. Free workout weekends. Fitness center would be open to the public for everyone over 10 on a quarterly basis. Free dental clinic provided by Seventh-day Adventists twice a year. Health fair offered discounted for free preventative testing and immunization by public and civil employees. Job and resource fair, employment and educational opportunities for the public. Going Green in the Grove, annual Arbor Day celebration, a tree giveaway, arbor event hosted by the Greenscape Commission. Campfire stories. Bob Sanders has spooky storytelling hour at Sarah Bolton Park. Halloween costume contest. Silly safari show and costume contest at the Senior Citizen on Halloween. Visit with Santa. A Santa at Christmas at the Senior Center in December. Easter egg hunt with the Easter Bunny, hunt hosted by the Lions Club, we provide the Easter Bunny. The English language class provided by Central 9 and Learning Center. High school equivalency test class provided by Central 9 and the Learning Center. Italian language provided by an independent instructor. Bubble Party in the Park, an annual event of the summer program series. E-recycling, quarterly e-recycling at the Hornet Park Community Center. Girl Scout program open to everyone, but designed with Girl Scout badge earning requirements. Safety seminars provided by the Marion County Prosecutor Office, Beech Grove Police Department, and Beech Grove Fire Department. Monarch Butterfly Inhabitant and Release. Birdtown, Indiana. Bird Sanctuary on Hornet Park grounds or Sarah Bolton Park in conjunction with the Tree City USA. The fiscal year 2017, your Parks and Rec supplied over 500 meals just in the month of June to needy families in our community, thanks to a grant. But grants are not easy to come by. We all know that. We do not have anyone trained or a staff to pursue grants. I would love to see the city develop a position to look for grants, not just for parks, but green space, trails, roads, sidewalks, and urban development. The money is there. We just need to have someone searching for it on our behalf and applying for them. There it is. I laid it out for you. The proposed budget is relatively flat, but I would ask that you increase budget to cover the staff shortfall in salaries, janitorial, contract, programming, advertising, and maintenance and repairs. The next page you have Angel's letter to you that basically says everything I've said, but it's a more personal touch to her. I sit through budget meetings every day for the first half of the year. I hate them. Worst thing in the world. This is in a budget meeting, to sit on your side of the table, to ask from a department, but it's not, it's more about the people, about the kids that you impact. Chickens in the yard, growing up, that would be neat to have. Someplace that you could go do that, whether it be your neighbor's house, whether it be a public farm. It would be neat if we had a public garden, which that's something else that Parks is trying to work with the City of Indianapolis Parks Department, is to work on a public area that we can farm with a master grower. He's already been here, he's been to Beech Grove a couple of times. He's made a few recommendations. So we're kind of looking towards trying to pursue something like that. But all of these things, they increase our house values. I'm not going to rely on the City of Indianapolis to assess my home value, because I lost a lot of money when they assessed it. But I watched my neighbor's house that's identical to mine sell for almost twice what they assessed it for. So I know my home value is a Beech Grove home value. It's not an Indianapolis home value. And I work for Indianapolis, but I live here. And this is where I want to live. I chose to live here. And all of these guys did too. So I ask that you consider the budget that was laid out in the second attachment by the park staff. I know they're going to talk to you about the salaries and things, or you're working on that, Dan. But this is what they need for programming. Thank you.
I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
Because you make it sound like the parks has not gotten money and has not been able to do anything. These,
Oh, no, I'm just telling you, those are the programs they want for 18. Do you
well,
want to know
I mean, there's some substantial increases in there. And if you listen to the financial report from the financial advisor, there's only 200,000 more than what's in the budget for next year. The last council meeting, fire department asked for 750,000. I don't know what your guys' increase is, because there's too many to be determined. A lot of these things that you were asking for is educational. If you went to the school system, see what they can help out with. They are a big part of Beech Grove too. At what point does the city responsibility stop for education? Have you looked at any increases to bring in revenue? Grants. You said you had the one for feeding people, which, that's great, but the city doesn't have the money.
The city doesn't have a grant writer.
Well, I can't help that.
And there's nobody that's trained, and Dan, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming anybody. Once Angie went to full-time staff, she increased her programming this year. Her revenue numbers show this year that she's increased her programming. She needs a little bit more money or a different way to fund it so she can increase more programming, more revenue. The stream of revenue comes with programming. And we learned at one of our centers for the city of Indianapolis, we learned that we took all their programming money away and gave them a different way to fund their programming. They're 100% on a non-reverting program. It's a program to where if they advertise the class, if they don't have enough people sign up, they cancel the class. There's no expense. That's something that the board has asked for, that they want to have it. I'm happy to discuss that with you anytime you want, but it's a way to fund these programs. And if we do that, if we move down that path, it's a good opportunity to develop new programs, which is what the whole design of the city ordinance, the City of Indianapolis ordinance is for, is to design to create new programs. The same day programs, those are funded through budget. But if she wants to create a new program, or Parks wants to create a new program, or the council wants to create a new program for neighborhoods in the parks, a community day for neighborhoods, there's no funding for it in the city. So we'd have to come up with a new funding source, and that's the only way you can do it. I
got a couple other questions. This is the first time in 6 years the Parks Board's ever even talked to me about a budget. First time. So, this whole thing of funding, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. I got to make each piece work, whether it's police, fire. You put a priority on everything. I'd like to give you everything you guys ask for.
Well, I know.
But it's unrealistic. And you guys need to be realistic about that. And it's not going to happen. So, when the budget is presented to the Department of Local Government Finance, if all these little pieces don't fit in there, they're not going to approve the budget, and you're going back to last year's budget. That's the way it works.
Well, all we ask for is that we're considered, that we come to the table together, and we talk about what it is that we can do as a city. It's not a council budget. It's a city budget, right? And we're a department, just like the fire department or the police department or the sanitation department. We bring in revenue to help sustain our budget, but we can only bring in revenue if we have a budget to provide programs.
Well, we just gave the Parks Department $10,000 of cell tower money. My other thing is, for whatever reason, they wanted a full-time director out there, which that's fine. I don't care. Is that full-time director working 5 days a week?
She's working enough to bring in revenue. She's
Now,
working
that's
4
not what
10-hour
I
days.
asked. I asked, is she working 5 days a week?
I think she was asking to work 4 10-hour days, but
Exactly. And everyone else in the city that works these hours is Monday through Friday. So if she's not there on Friday, why don't you close on Friday? Why? My question is, we went full-time so someone would be out there looking over it 5 days a week, and it's not being done. And I think it's terrible when the rest of the employees, my employees in my office, they have to be there 5 days a week, if they're full-time. And so I think you need to be considerate of the fact of what dollar you guys are throwing out, it's easy for you guys to sit there and say, well, we need to raise this by 25,000, we need to raise this by 5,000. It doesn't work like that. I don't know how it works in Indianapolis, but in Beech Grove, I'm gonna tell you, it don't work like that.
Chris?
Have you guys looked into, like, maybe, I know that the shelters get reserved early in the year and then they sell out. Have you guys looked at maybe building more shelters, like where they tore out the tennis courts or other areas of the park to generate revenue that way?
Well, the $10,000 sell dollars is a capital fund that's set up, it's a non-reverting, and it's designed for capital projects. That could be used for shelters, not using the park's budget for shelters. That same fund could have also bought the mowers that we bought this year out of our general fund, because it's a capital fund. We have to come to the clerk and ask to spend the money. I don't know that they ever asked to spend the money for the mowers. I don't know that they understand
But the mowers
capital
don't
dollars
generate-
and things like that.
The mowers don't generate any revenue.
They don't generate revenue, but they do bring people to the parks. If we don't mow the parks, nobody's coming.
They're an asset. I mean,
Well,
they're always-
the parks,
They're an asset.
The mowers?
Yeah.
Mowers are an
They're gonna
asset.
depreciate, but you can always sell them.
Just like the trucks.
Well, I don't know what point you're making with the mowers, but I guess my point is that if we had more shelters, we would have more people renting shelters, and there would be more revenue.
Yes, you're
It's not
right.
gonna happen with mowers. I don't know what you're talking about there.
No, I said spending the money, the capital dollars. The cell tower is set up for a non-reverting capital fund, is the way that was set up. Am I right?
It wasn't set up like that. The mayor and I talked, and we were receiving this money monthly, and we thought this would be a good way to give money to the parks. So we put it in the non-reverting fund, and it's been in there ever since.
So the non-reverting fund is what type of fund? For, the documents you sent to me when I asked it said it was a capital fund.
You can call it a capital fund. It's parks.
Yeah.
Irregardless, it's parks.
Okay.
That's what it comes out of. And something else I wanted to clarify is you said you have to come for me, and like I have to give you guys permission. I don't tell any department in this city how to spend their money. They don't come and ask me for it unless it's like an emergency repair or anything like that, where I try to find money. I do not tell anybody, no, you can't spend it. This is your budget. I expect you to stay within it.
But the non-reverting is not in our budget.
It's part of the parks. It's part of the parks. You guys can spend that on something. No one's ever came to me and said, can I buy a lawnmower for $5,000? It's never happened since I've been here.
Hey, Dan, that's fine. This is our first term as being vice and president, and so we're asking a lot of questions to a lot of different people.
Well,
I'm not
Keep tapping
opposed
at the
to
budget.
that, but I want you guys to be realistic. Ask the police and fire. We went through this before too. The pie's only so big, I can't make it any bigger.
Totally
If you
agree.
guys want to raise your shelter rents, whatever, if you want to cut on employees, whatever you want to do, I don't go there. I just make it work, and this is the dollar amount we've got. If it don't work, the DLGF says budget is not approved, and you go back to last year's budget. And I don't just mean yours, I mean the entire city.
Oh, I understand that one.
Dan, or Liz, will you?
Liz was.
Go, jump in there.
well, and you talk about budget and monies, I mean, we allowed for pay raises, from what I understand, were never. those-
We allowed, the
Am I
council
sure?
allowed
Yeah.
in ordinance 22 that staff would get raises, but there wasn't an increase in that character of money last year. So we currently have our laborers making less than what
Than what
is
the
in that
budget.
ordinance. We currently have our part-time staff that are at the community center less than what's in that ordinance, because there's no money.
And I was told by the parks director, he didn't want to give them raises. So you need to talk to the parks director before you make a statement like that,
I
because
asked
he
the
was the
question.
one that told me.
She asked the
I
question.
asked a question.
Yeah.
And at the last meeting, he was at the meeting, and he asked for raises for this year. and he was unaware that 22 was passed.
And
That
I think they
included
got
those
a
people.
quarter raise. You're referring to part-time individuals, where they went from a part-time director to a full-time director, and that was the offset.
So are they due back pay then?
No, they're not due back pay.
We'll look at
budgeted
what their, I don't know what their salaries are. I can only go by what I'm being told by the director,
Now, when you say director, are you talking about Angel or Tom?
Tom.
Okay.
I got a question here on the, is there not 5 shelters?
There is. I made a mistake.
Okay, I just want to make sure, and then.
She corrected me on the way over.
All right, and then on the tennis courts, are those actually handled, or does the park do anything with those? Are those on school property on the 4 tennis courts?
They're in parks.
Okay, all right. One of the things I wanted to mention, you mentioned in here, that I think is pretty valuable, because when you mention the name, talk about how crime goes down, someone says, well, there's Cincinnati and Chicago. But the truth of it is, Cincinnati and Chicago's parks budget's not always been high.
No.
They've reverted to what Minneapolis is one of the highest, and when they watched in Minneapolis, from what I've read, and I did a little just while we were here, they watched Minneapolis have success with spending, and I am not here. I agree with Dan and many others. Sometimes we have department heads here. There's $5, fight for it. But when someone says there's only so much money, you can't say the mayor could have done differently or the council could have differently. There's $5. And, but with that aside, I wanted to say that, and there's really more than 5, that's just a number to think about, of course.
625 doesn't count.
Okay, what I was going to say was that when Cincinnati and Chicago started increasing their budgets, they've seen some success. Chicago is looking for ways to find, well, I heard the word education, but a lot of things in their problems. So I wanted to say that's kind of a good thing, because here's 2 big cities that go, well, worked over in Minneapolis a little bit. Why don't we follow? And in the article, it indicates that whether they can contribute it all to parks, they've actually had some better years. So I just thought that was a good number to put out. The other thing I wanted to say is last year, when we got into budget time, which was rushed, and it's one of the things that I know that the counselor that lives over there, we mentioned having more time. And I think it's good that you come here and present some information you have and numbers, and whether everything can always work out the way we want it is a true point. But we did kind of go to the Parks Board, or I did, saying, get here early, get involved, and you can't come when the budget's already ready for 3rd reading. You guys have done that. You have met that challenge to be here early, at least to get discussion going, and I thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Just so you know, all the big cities have put a lot of money into grant writers. That's how they're making the big changes.
Well, I think you mentioned something, and sometimes we always put a grant writer in on a special occasion, and then we're a small city, but it would be neat if we did have somebody that was just stuck up in the closet working all the time, that actually was smart enough to understand police, fire, parks, public works, that just understood the mechanism. And sometimes it don't work that easy. It does take someone who deals specially, but it's kind of like the police department. We have someone involved in the narcotics end, and when it looks money-wise, he takes care of himself over there and some. I think a grant writer could probably do the same thing. I just know it's a difficult process.
Well, these programs in these parks, our citizens that are here talking passionately about their love for the community and their desire to have, the few hens, these are the things that lure people into our communities. These programs financially reward us in every way. And I mean, I understand you've only got $5, but these are the things that build us, that bring people in, that get people to buy homes, keep the rentals down. These are the things that, and these are our citizens' tax dollars. So we owe it, I think, to find ways to improve these programs for our young families, for our young people, and do everything we can, and not just shut the door. As we talked about dialogue, it's about talking this stuff and learning and coming together and finding ways. We talked about a Parks Foundation. So we have ideas and we have ways to bring this, and I know our citizens they take advantage of this. I've been there. I go to these things.
comment was made earlier, Garfield's selling a lot of homes. Garfield's selling a lot of homes because there's a lot of new programming going into Garfield. There's a lot of new things that's happening at the Garfield Family Center. The art centers, there's a lot of new things that's happening at the art center. The conservatory just got a remake over the Sunken Gardens. The Fountain Square just got a lot of new remake over in 2 pocket parks in Fountain Square. That's selling homes. Irvington has Irvington Circle, Ellenberger Park. There's getting ready to be some funds put into Ellenberger Park. That's bringing people into these neighborhoods. Leaving a park alone and not funding the park, not running it to its full potential, gaining the revenue, that only hurts your neighborhood. I mean, Dan, I sit where you sit. I know that we only have a limited amount of money. And I also know that there's ways to fund some of these things, but it's not closing down the center. There's synergies by working different hours, different days. Closing the center is not feasible to make revenue. There's opportunities that we can put another shelter out there. So my next week, our meeting, I'm gonna say, we're gonna put a new shelter and start designing a new shelter. Because there's money available in this cellular tower fund.
And, Dan, I understand, it's always good to raise some revenue because it all adds up, but everything in the park always can't depend, right? I mean, I think we all know that. Sometimes it all can't depend on if it's gonna make revenue. It's gotta, and so I'm just saying it from this end, not that anybody doesn't know it, but I'm just saying everything we do, you can't bring a buck in,
There was an Epley
We like for
study.
it to.
There was an Epley study done, went through National Parks and Recs programs, and they decided that anything that was preschooler and below is free. You don't charge for that age of kid. From a preschool to teen, you charge and you look at 30% recoup. From teen to adult, you look at 100% recoup. And when you get into the adult ages to senior, once you get to senior, you go back to the preschool age and you look at no recoup. You offer seniors programs for fitness, for health, for well-being. And that's how you bring the community back to the parks.
And that brings a community, that brings people in. It's with the payback is.
Oh, it's
where it is.
rewarding.
Yeah.
Because once you have a thriving park, you have a thriving community.
Yes.
Any more questions, comments?
I got one other.
Okay.
Do you know the ratio of people that are Beech Grove residents that use the community center, the parks? Have you guys done any type of study on that whatsoever? I know a lot of it you should be able to do through the programs that are being done out there, but I think a lot of this that's going on out there is other than Beech Grove residents, which I'm glad the people from Indianapolis come into our parks and Hornet Community Center, but I would say that I think a big number is outside of Beech Grove.
We're trying to develop right now programs that's going to increase Beech Grove participation. I mean, my daughter in high school, she's now graduated and married and gone, but she was in high school. She was a senior in high school. She got called by 3 boys. They couldn't change a tire. And she could change the tire, right? This is one of the programs that we want to teach. They don't teach it in school no more. Home ec, the young man in uniform, I bet you he could sew his patches on, right? I did that for a long time. Chris did it too. But they don't teach that in school no more. I taught my daughter how to sew. I taught her how to cook because they didn't have home ec. I do wood projects with my
What you're talking
kids.
about a little bit, though,
But these are little
personified by
programs.
this woman back here and her wanting to raise those boys right and teach them the skills they need to survive in our society. It's not contingent upon the government to teach those kids.
No, it's not.
It's the parents.
It's us.
It can be both, Counselor.
It's you, it's me, it's everybody. We're all in this together.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of parents that bring their
You
kids
need to sit
to,
over here on the right side.
Well, you ask, you ask who participates in the community center.
Yes.
LifeBridge was at the community center handing out book bags for
Right.
Beech Grove kids, K
Yes.
through 8. We gave book bags out to 450 to 500 Beech Grove kids. That was there because of that center, correct?
Right.
That center provided an area that brought Beech Grove families and our young people and our young families an opportunity to get the much-needed supplies to start their education. So that was 450 to 500 Beech Grove families
There-
in one day.
There was already one day that we had free dental clinic at the center. It was actually 2 days. It was provided by, it's in here, I forgot what I said, Seventh-day Adventist. It's already happened once, and they were trying to gather residency. Where did you live at? And over 90% of them had a zip code of Beech Grove, 46107. There's a second one coming up. And it's only to benefit our residents. I mean, yeah, it's a public center, so it's open to everybody. But it benefits our residents, people that can't get to the doctor, people that don't have insurance. It benefits us. If we close the center on a Saturday because she didn't work 5 days, then we lost that opportunity. We had part-time people there that day with that center open. She didn't need to be there.
Well, my point being with that is I see her at meetings here that don't pertain to the parks. And so other things, it's not just that. But like I say, I'm not opposed to the community center at all. But I got to make it work, whether it's a senior center, the community center.
Oh, I totally agree.
Police, fire, and where do you put your biggest priority? Right now, it's on police and fire. So should we take money from police and fire to give to the parks? Police and fire say no, parks, So that's what.
But if we can help curb their drug epidemic on the street, if we can help curb their violence on the street by offering a program to bring these kids in, we've saved them money. We've saved them added stress. It's a together project.
And I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Snakehead Ed, I don't want to keep you any longer, we got lots going on, but Snakehead Ed, you guys have any, that's a Beech Grove tie right there, so I was throwing his name out. I think you've had him before.
He's been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Already.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Dan.
You didn't mention a critical issue, infrastructure issue down in the park. Just north of the walk bridge at the Hilltop Shelters, or not Hilltop, but Creekside Shelters, you've lost about 8 feet of your bank over the past 3 or 4 years. So that is something we had to address back in 2012 and 2013, and it's continuing to erode. So we can't turn our head to that.
Well, I'll just tell you, there was a grant writer in the city. The city in Indianapolis got a grant for all of their corridor replacement for a federal grant to come in, and it was 100% match.
But I'm just saying, I'm surprised you didn't mention that.
Back for the South Tower.
Police Department 2018 capital improvement. Chief?
Hi, Council. I am going to try to be a little bit quicker. We're just going to throw out some figures. And actually, these figures are for the next 10 years because they include items that the manufacturer said need to be replaced. So when you hear some figures, don't think they're next year, just next year. We'll start off with car replacement. It's suggested by the industry, and the industry is the car manufacturers, that cars are replaced every 4 years. For us, that's 9 cars a year. That doesn't happen. Cars cost this year $28,000 a car, and that's a discount because if an individual goes and tries to buy it, it's about 38,000 probably. And then you throw in the equipment that goes in it, a computer, the radio, and switching over the equipment. That brings it up about $39,000 a car. If we figure that we have to replace 9 cars, it's $351,000. There's no money for that. We know that. But these are figures that's going to go out. There's public safety tax money that has purchased cars before. These are things that just aren't in the budget, but money comes out. Body armor every 5 years. The body armor costs right now $800 per one. It's about $4,000 a year that we ask for. Replace firearms, we just did that. It came out of our CIF money. We replaced 50 handguns, $450 a piece, $22,500. These guns depends on how often we train, they go for about 10 years. So you can figure that's not a budgeted item. This is our drug money. That officer may not be in there. DEA has held back payments before to where we didn't have the money. So it depends on what the courts decide too. They could say forfeiture is no longer valid. That is in the courts now for some forfeitures, and that's what we use. Our SWAT team, our SRT team, they just replaced their vest, and that was through public safety tax money, I believe. Yeah. So this is money that isn't budgeted, but it is out there, just so you know that when we come to ask for it, maybe not for vest next year, maybe for something else, that there should be money there, that we've replaced or we put in bulletproof glass, we put up fencing. Those are things that are needed. Our tasers, that's a brand name, or you can consider it electronic device. Those are just replaced at $1,000 a piece, 35 of them, $35,000. And then you have to buy the holsters, extra batteries, and the training, the manufacturer. The reason they were replaced, because the manufacturer, our old ones, no longer will be fixed by them. You can't get parts. So that's one of them. One of the big ticket items the fire department brought up is our radios. These are old. They no longer will make parts for them. They no longer make parts for them. If we have one that's broken, it's broken. If you want a policeman to come, you better have a radio for them. And they're talking a discount, $5,000. I just went to a meeting 2 weeks ago. Some other cities have already bought them, and they paid $6,400 for them. And they were wondering how come. And that's because we're going in with Indianapolis. As a group, we'll get a discount. $5,000 a radio, that's a heck of a discount, I guess. And then when you figure in the radio, it's extra batteries, the holder, the extended microphone. I don't have one. These are extra charges that they know that you need, that they're going to charge you for. And one thing to end mine, and I'll answer questions, is that we had the gas tank removed. We paid for it out of the CIF money. We just paid a bill, Dan did, not we, $14,000 plus. And that's for 2 different tests, ground test, air test, that they do at the fire department, at the police department, outside, and at our back building. The company that does it gets information from the state of Indiana that they want it done quarterly, 4 times a year. That's going to come up to $28,000. That's going to have to come from somewhere. Well, I don't know. And hopefully that it doesn't go
Who more. legislates that? Who makes that mandatory?
IDEM is the one that says
Oversees it.
what the requirements are. They test I don't know, for 80 different chemicals. I get the report, and they might be .005, and the state says .002. It's their requirement, and the company that does this testing is the one that took out the tank basically, and they're saying for 2 to 5 years is what IDEM thinks that they're going to have to continue to test. And then we've had everybody in the building. We either need a new building or we need new room, you said. We have had a couple of companies come in and says, you can't add on because of that. The utilities that are there, the ground's contaminated. You can't build over their test sites. So we can't go out, we have no parking lot. So you're going to have to consider a bond, grant. This is going to be up to the council to figure out how to fund the building that the citizens need. And the police department serves the citizens. So we're there at their beckon. We have done as much as we can to make that building safe. You go in the front lobby, it's like trying to squeeze into an elevator made for 4 and you're putting 8 people. The safety of it is our concern. Always the safety. The convenience, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the safety of that building is coming into question. So I'd like for you to consider that also. And the other budget items, we do pretty good. We had $32,000 taken from our budget last year. We are working with our budget. We try not to spend any more than we have. So that's it. But the big items are guns, tasers, the building's coming up. Our boiler, our heating system doesn't get turned on because it's so inefficient. We have electric heaters in our walls that we use, and we don't use our boiler because it's too costly to start it up and just let it sit and heat up water. It's, I don't know, it's 30-some years old, that system is. It's not a good system anymore. And I plan on coming to you probably within the next month or two because I'm having companies do studies that I'll pay for out of CIF, not asking for the budget item, tell you what they say, not what I say, not what another policeman says, that these are the standards for the next 20 or 25 years for a building for the citizens.
And the council asked you to do that, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we're going to do that.
We might be able to get you some new heaters. That'll help. Those
And
electrical
you've
cords.
probably been there too, when those electric heaters actually have caught on fire.
Yeah.
And we've had to replace those.
On the bright
And-
side, the fire department's right
Right
next
next
door.
door.
But then you have to call downtown, and then they dispatch them, and they drive around. If the radio works.
Tell
Yes.
me again about the cars. So 9 cars and you're.
We
that's-
replace, by standards, it's 9 cars every year. We sell the cars when they have 80 to 100,000 miles, use a little bit more. But
That's a lot.
they say that you have 50% more mileage that's not read on it because cars sit idle, they block traffic for accidents, investigations.
Those are the type of-
So if you have one that is at 100,000 miles, it's 150. And then you start talking wear and tear. And again, it's getting to a scene in an emergency. Things wear out, ball bearings, transmissions, engines. So it's,
And we're needing 9 new cars over a period of how much?
well, it's recommended, a fourth-year fleet is replaced every year.
Every
So
year.
that's 9 cars every year and every year. Now we get, I think, 4, maybe 4 or 5. And that is taking care of some of it. We have an '09 car, so we're talking 8 years old cars. And like you know, we deal with our budget, we deal with what we have. But I'm telling you that we are stretching beyond our means. And there could be a time when we have that CIF money no longer. We did have it for a period. I think it was 8 months. We had no money coming in from that, so we couldn't buy, we buy bullets with that money. It's not a budgeted item. That's something that ought to be budgeted. So there was 9 months to where we had to limit our training with our firearms because we didn't know when the courts or DEA was going to allow that, if they were going to allow it. They have, so we have done that. We have purchased ammo, but it did limit it. And we have new officers coming in. That means new radios, new tasers, new guns, new shotguns, cars for them. This is stuff that's going to challenge that $200,000 that
Exactly.
it says that everybody wants.
Well,
We'd be
I know-
happy with the 200,000 and let the other ones not get it. We'd be all right. So you can consider that for us.
I know there's a big difference in the state police cars and city cars like Beech Grove and Indianapolis because the state police cars are on the road long mileage and not stop and go as much.
That's
The
true.
Stop and go travel for our police cars here is really hard on them.
Yeah, the stop and go, you wear out brakes more, you wear out belts, steering.
Anything in the engine.
Yeah, that's the reason they say 50% more in mileage, you can figure what the engine and wear is.
Mark, I just got one question. Is your department better off than it was 6 years ago? You've gotten raises, you've gotten cars. Do you have everything you want? Absolutely not.
No.
But
I don't think this is a trick question, so.
it's a sight better than what it was.
It was, yeah, it's better. But there are things that we need to improve. And I want you to consider the building, the big thing, because like I said, it's as safe as it can be now, but it needs to be safer. And the function of, you guys, when you went and saw the detectives, they sit next to each other, have a phone conversation. They have to get up and go outside just because of the space that they need a private conversation. And I'll come back to you when these people come and say, this is what the standard is. And we hope that the courts never get into this standard. But if somebody, we got sued over Facebook, so they can sue over anything.
I will say one thing from the back.
You can come up.
No, that's all right. You asked if we're better off. That's a tough question to answer, as Buddy said. But I will tell you that police and fire both have fallen. We're about $13,000 in salary behind IMPD and IFD. And that makes it really tough to recruit good people to come to Beech Grove to serve the citizens and give them the quality of service that you guys demand and expect. And it makes it tough. And when we don't have anything to sell them, it's not the building, it's not the salary, it's not the work, because we're working our butts off. I'll tell you, a week and a half ago on a Friday night, I was out till 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock with the SRT team, serving a warrant on a guy that had come in and robbed a guy of a gun over shoes and money. We were up at 72nd or 79th in Michigan, so we're all over it. This is a crime that is occurring. But my question for you, I've heard for every department is the money's not there. What's the plan for the city in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Because so far you've said you can't afford it. So what's your plan?
Is it deputy chief or assistant chief?
Whatever you want to call it.
Oh.
I'm just asking, we keep hearing it's not there, which I get, but what's your plan for us then? I just tested 5 guys today, or 5 individuals today to fill spots. What am I to sell them on? If you're always saying it's not there.
Mike, let me ask you a question because I think the safety factor for our citizens is legitimate there. But if you guys went to IMPD, we'd have 2 to 3 officers possibly at any given time in Beech Grove. It wouldn't be the force of almost 40. We've added on, we've given you manpower, We've tried to do what we can do. You know, we stretched the rubber band about as far as we can stretch it.
I was going to ask the
That's
assistant.
my point. So you're stretched. What's gonna be your solution for 5 years down?
Well, I think 5 years,
Costs are going down.
5 years, we're better off than we were 5 years ago today.
Only behind the departments around.
Chief, I got a question to ask you, though. People still want to work for us. I don't see many leaving, and I am a big police department. I've been there. You guys deserve everything we can give you. But it's kind of like a priority list. I was going to ask earlier if you, because Dan asked it too. On that priority list, where does raises come compared to safety items? And,
Absolutely.
And the other thing is too that we've got to be creative. I mean, up here for the police and fire and public works. I mean, there's no question about that. But one of my things is that as the citizens of Beech Grove, they do come first. Our obligation, of course, is to give them more police on the street than they would get some other square mile. And so I'm just glad that we still have a lot of the same policemen we do. I think I can mention some that they're not just here for the money. You got a few of them are here because they've just grown with the community or become friends, so that's helped. But that was really.
I can tell you that we're an old department, and within the next 5 years, you could have 10 to 12 officers retire at any point. In fact, right now, over half your department could retire because they have the 20 years in. And I have not been able to get good candidates to replace those.
What do we've had tested 35 now, and we've none. Of this 5, that includes 35, we haven't been able to get somebody that meets our qualifications, standards that we want for Beech Grove.
What kind of, what's the opening situation right now? Is there
2.
2?
Yes.
Well, we have 2 in the budget now and 1 for 2018.
Well, personally, I don't think better gives us bragging rights if our standards are not up to where they should be.
And that's why we didn't hire.
That's the reason we didn't hire them, because they didn't make our standards.
We have.
Hey, Mike.
That's not the point. I'm just saying,
And I commend you on that.
just want to know what, what do I sell them on? 5, 10, 15, 20, what's the plan?
Okay, right now, the gas company is gonna expand. That's gonna be more tax money for the city of Beech Grove. We have to live on some of the tax money that we get. That's what pays the salaries. And I was on the fire department 30 years, and there's times when the mayor would come to us and say, there won't be raises this year. None.
Or overtime.
Yeah, cut the overtime down. And it's, we kind of had to accept that. But I know what Dennis has done and Dan's done and some of the other councilmen, they went out and encouraged businesses to come into Beech Grove, and they're expanding. That's gonna help our tax bed, and that will help build the building or give them raises or whatever.
Well, that's what we're asking, to invest, maybe a bond to do this. I don't do the financial stuff. Maybe Dan can do it, maybe the financial person or grants to do it. But the building is one step that I think we need, and we'll bring somebody in that will tell us, can't go up, it's not built for it, can't go out because utilities and the contaminated ground they're testing for. And we get people in that come to us and they go to Fisher's, Greenwood's building on, Lawrence is building on, Speedway. They come in, they go, that building is 35 years old. We're going to this one as 10 years old. And that you're dealing with the millenniums.
I think it's older than 35 too, so you might be looking at 45 or 50.
It's built in 72 and opened
Yeah.
in 73, so
Not trying to help you too much here.
I appreciate it. But you're dealing with millenniums that come in and they see, I want the nicest thing right now. And it's tough. My kids, they want everything I have. I've worked 50 years for this stuff. And that's the deal with our people that are coming in. And we have to be able to give them some stuff to serve the citizens. But we also have to make what they see, I want to work there. Maybe they'll make $5,000 less, but it's the pride that we have a lot of pride in our officers now, a lot. And
either we're going to raise taxes, or like Dan was talking about. Dennis, have you looked into maybe putting on the payroll a grant writer that would
I have
work?
not.
That would work for all departments?
I have not.
And it might be something that you could entertain or see if that was feasible, or if there was enough federal money or state money in grants that would pay their salary plus some return. I guess we're gonna have to get a little bit creative here, because I feel your pain, Chief, I really do, and the fire department and the parks, I really do. But, you know, nobody likes tax increases, but there's a
We're
finite
limited
amount
to-
of money, it's difficult to
You're
figure out
limited
what
to do those anymore with state law, you know?
With tax
Yeah.
caps.
Right.
Grants free money most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it-
so I mean, that might be something you could entertain, Mayor.
You
Grants
do-
are mostly capital. So
Yeah.
it could get us cars, it could get us tasers, it could get us guns,
Right.
it throws grants out there. It doesn't pay salaries.
Right.
They don't, I mean, it wouldn't pay our.
Well, if we're not paying those other things, we can pay salaries.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's the truth, but that's what those are out there for. The tasers, I mean, imagine what the city of Indianapolis just put in place in Marion County.
Yeah,
They
from-
ran in the same problem, because we bought them all at the same time.
From what I heard him say, the guns were $450 and the tasers were $1,000.
Yep.
Cheaper to shoot people.
It's,
They had to buy the bullets out of their pocket.
we'll save that one on you. I wanted to say something to all the department heads, like, and with the park here and so on. It is your guys to come up here and tell us what's wrong, what you need. If you went back to your departments and didn't do that much, you know, that's your job. It's not your job to always go out and sell lemonade stands to make the money to pay for it. But, I mean, to me, that's what you have to do, is say what you need, so.
One more item, council. At the Board of Works meeting, the board approved the going to telestaff for reporting, and I wanted the operations chief to come back up briefly and talk to you about the telestaff budget estimate for 2018.
How did you get behind the police department? How did?
I drew the short stick on this one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll be very quick, council. This is just an upgrade of what we currently have. We have an electronic staffing program that we've been using since 2008 that manages our, all of our vacation, our daily staffing, our sick time hours. It's all done electronically. We went to the State Board of Accounts several years ago and had that approved as our official accounting method for our personnel. And that's been, we've been on that, like I said, since 2008. As of the end of this year, Marion County is no longer going to support that as a countywide initiative, so all the separate departments, police and fire, are now picking this up on their own. What we chose to do was partner with Wayne Township Fire and Speedway Fire and have Wayne Township host our software for us, and then it becomes basically a cloud-based system for us to use instead of a locally hosted system as we were doing before. To do that, we'll have to upgrade our software, we'll have to purchase our own licensing, which is, I believe, if you have the invoice in front of you, it shows what our initial costs are going to be and then our annual costs after that. Earlier at the Board of Works, we talked about a $20,000 savings if we didn't host this. Mayor, what we were talking about there was if we were to host this ourselves, it would cost us about $20,000 in equipment just to be able to host this software, where we can go out to Wayne Township. They've already got the equipment that they can host the software for us. So that's where we're going to realize some savings there. So initially, for this year, to get this moving, we're going to have to, again, purchase our own licenses. We're going to have to do some clerical fees and some data transfer or upgrade of our data. It's going to have to be transferred over to the new system. So our initial cost this year is going to be $77,4625. That's a one-time cost. Our annual fee after that will be $24,8125. And again, this will be so that we can maintain all of our personnel records electronically.
Again, like I said, we use this for our state mandated personnel tracking, and then we also incorporate it into all of our other software that we use for patient care reports and fire records and all that. It provides all the staffing records for that as well. So this is something that we're going to have to move forward on this year. We need to have the data transferred, the licenses purchased, the software installed on Wayne Township's machines, the connection set up, all that done by the end of this year. So that's why I came to the board earlier this evening, and asked for permission to move forward on this so that we can start this process, because it will take a few months to get all of this done. So just letting, coming before the council tonight, giving you the same information we did the board and what we're planning on doing. And this will be some additional appropriation we're going to have to ask for, and Dan and myself and the chief are going to have to sit down and figure out where we're going to move this or get this money from. But again, this is something we're going to have to move forward on this year. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
How's your department in the last 5 years as far as equipment and wages? Has it improved?
Don't forget the mayor's behind you.
Again, that's a loaded question, and that's more of a chief level question. I'm an operations chief, so
I'll
defer.
just make it easy for you. I know we just bought you new turnout gear. We've bought probably 4 ambulances, 2 fire trucks, paid cash for one of the ambulance fire trucks. So
price of doing business, sir.
Absolutely it is. And you guys do a good job. You deserve every bit of it, but you got to make things work, and you guys have done it. And just like the police department. And I'll make one other statement. There was a firefighter retired from Beech Grove. He started approximately 55 years ago. His starting yearly salary was $1,800. He gets that in 1 month, more than that in 1 month than what he made in the whole year. People are living longer. We're spending more money to take care of our retirees.
What was the cost of living when he was on the job as opposed to now?
You could probably buy 10 sacks of groceries for $50,
Right.
Got to be a killjoy, don't you?
Yeah.
Got to put it in perspective.
That's some of the things, just like him. He's been retired for over 30 years, and we pay him more in 1 month than what he did for the whole year. So these are all things you got to take into consideration, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Jim, but it just, I think people need to know things are a lot brighter in Beech Grove than what they were. We're doing better financially. We're doing better equipment-wise. You guys have gotten new employees. So there's some good things happening.
I got one. Did Firehouse Subs purchase something for our department recently?
Yes, they gave us $20,000 for our special event cart that we use we just use it 4th of July, and we use it Fall Festival. We provide coverage for the major parades downtown, football games. We were using a 25-year-old electric golf cart that we were spending more money in batteries every year than what I think we originally paid for it to begin with. So yeah, that was a nice grant that they provided for us to buy this updated cart to allow us to do more stuff. So, and that's the stuff that, like we've talked about, the police department's talked about, the public demands, this council demands that we provide these services. So we are going out and being creative and trying to do that, but we still have to do our day-to-day jobs, and that's why we're up here asking for these things.
I learned from Chris Duffer about things going up in the clouds. That seems to be the place to put them at now.
I'd like to see this cloud someday.
Yeah.
Everything's in it. So, all right. Thank you, board, or council.
Thank you.
That concludes new business council comments. Buddy?
Yeah, one other thing, I want to thank everybody that come out and spoke, with department people and parks and so on, sharing their information, especially people that come out and supported their views on the chicken. And I think I'm not sure if that's actually the name of 7, the chicken ordinance, but I heard something the other day when we talk about a lot of things. It was funny. He's a World War II veteran, and he said that it might not hurt once in a while if we have a Great Depression that only lasts about 3 or 4 months, because we don't appreciate anything. And I'm not referring to anybody coming up here. These are things that are safety things that are needed. I didn't mean it that way. But when I do look at new people that are trying to be hired, it's not Beech Grove. It's the whole world is that way. And sometimes it would be nice to, back then when nobody could even find a job and didn't know where they were going to eat, things are a little better off in the world today, but a lot of them don't know it because that's just the way it is. And they think what's bad to them is, well, it wouldn't have been bad back in 1920s and 30s, you know. But it was just a thought. I thought it was kind of funny statement. I do want to say, congratulate a little bit with the mayor and Dan just real quickly. You know, we will have something happen in the city, and speaking with the mayor and so forth, that it's not like we're just going to say, oops, here's something bad, and it's just the way life is. We're going to get involved, find out what's going on, and I can refer to the Marsh deal. You know, the city's not going to be the shell answer man to it, but at least the city can say, hey, we cared. And, you know, you can see the mayor's habits that way. One thing about Dan is one thing that I do enjoy that could be irritating to many is that you know where Dan McMillan stands, and he is the bad guy of all of us sometimes. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, and maybe there's ways to go about it, but somebody has to be you like being called the bad guy for a moment?
I don't.
That was the nicest word I had on the list, so, but you do know where he stands, and then ultimately, it's still going to be up to the city council to make those decisions, though, so. But with that, that's really all I got to say. There's so much here, and it's gotten late. I would ask Mrs. Buckley if you could talk to the mayor and try to get him to reduce the agenda items in the future. He has not listened to me at all. Maybe you could be at Ponderosa right now or something. So.
I got a better idea. Let's limit you to 50 words per
There you go.
No, 50 characters.
Do we get to validate
I
what
told him that.
city attorney you have or whatever? All right, I'm done.
Jim?
I'd just like to thank everybody who showed up tonight, and there's a lot of ideas, a lot of things that was put before us, and we're gonna have to do some studying and thinking and praying and whatever to find out exactly what we wanna do. Thanks everybody for showing up and the ones who stuck around from the city, community.
Dave?
Thank everybody for coming. I had a quick story to tell, but Buddy used up all my time. But I'll tell it real quick anyway. During Little League, and I'm not gonna talk chickens or budgets or anything. During Little League season's over, and I really enjoy. I kept booked for my son's team, and you're dealing with 8, 9, 10-year-old kids that are learning to pitch and throw to each other, and it's kind of a fun deal. I had this little boy sitting next to me all year long. His name was James. And the little kid was so smart. And all these other kids come up to you, you know, you tell them the lineup 10 times. You're batting 6, you're batting 7. They come up to you, the first 3 batters, when am I batting again? I'll tell you when you get there. But this little boy sitting next to me, and after about the 6th game or so, these kids that keep coming up, when am I batting? And it just got to the point where I'd say, did I call your name? You know, I'll let you know. And James looks at me one game, he says, you know, you think they'd know by now. Because it was the same order almost every game. Well, James improved it. James got to be a pretty good little ball player, and he got a real big hit for us one game. And, I mean, it was a big hit. He hit it to the outfield. And these kids that hit the outfield is unbelievable. I mean, it's at this age, especially when sometimes they get hit 6 times a game by the opposing pitcher. But so I'm sitting there, and I know Chris Duffer come to a game, and he told me who his grandson was. Well, I can't remember these kids' last name. You know, it wasn't Duffer. But I sit there, and at the end, near the end of the year, I come out, and I'm talking to James, and I said, and I look around, and there's Chris, and I said, is this your grandson? He says, yeah. I said, dang on, I didn't remember that. But, Chris, that's the best kid I've ever seen. I mean, he was just a good kid.
Thank you, Dave.
You can't believe the brats that are in the Little League. I mean, but this kid sit there all year and just Nick, the other kids be in trouble? No, not this boy. You sit there, he was a good kid.
Poor Kevin.
Yeah, poor Kevin, kinda, yeah. But, it was a fun year, so that's my story and I'm sticking to it. That's all I got.
Appreciate everybody coming out. It's fun to see people get involved in this process. I mean, if it would have been people standing up there or against it all night, still appreciate people coming. And that's why I was interested in doing this. So, and Tammy, thanks. You were really been helpful through this whole thing too. So.
Liz?
Progress is not easy, but it's fun to be part of. And I want to thank the Parks Department for all they do. The Lily Life Bridge giving out those backpacks on Saturday. We're talking about 450 to 500 kids. Mr. Buckley, Mayor, we were there working, having fun, talking, laughing. That's who we are. That's what we have provided for our community. And when you see that, that's what we can brag about. That gives us bragging rights. That's good stuff.
Chris?
I would like to ask you, Mayor, if you would maybe look into a grant writer. I think that would be very useful. You know, we hear people talking about Carmel or Greenwood or Fishers, any of those, and they can just go out and pave over a cornfield and bring another business in, and we can't do that. You've seen that one thing I think Dan put out, what is it, 4.4 square miles? And that's it. That's how big we are, and that's how big we're gonna get. So we have to get creative. It's not gonna be easy. Also to the individuals that spoke, this lady and the others, that's not an easy thing to do, to get up at the council meeting and speak, and I appreciate that. It's good that you come and do that. And then I wanted to tell Dave, thank you for the kind words about my grandson, and I'll close with a real quick little story about him. When he was like about 3, we were out in my yard, and of course they love looking at the fire engines when they come by. And there was one coming by the house screaming and red lights, and just as I could hear him again, he goes, "That was a big damn fire truck." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "That was a big fire truck." So he knew what word was the wrong word right away. And with that, I'm done.
A couple announcements. The board tonight approved a contract with NDOT and Amtrak for the Hoosier State passenger service. That takes effect July 1st of this year through June the 30th of next year. This is the first year that, in a long time, that NDOT has funded, budgeted $3 million to service that train. Before, they've not done anything. So that's good for Beech Grove Amtrak. So very happy about that. I wanted to pass that on. And then this Wednesday, in these chambers at 1 o'clock, we'll have a press conference concerning the history of Marsh and what we're working on towards the future. So the public is invited. So with that, motion to adjourn.
Add one more thing, please. I'd like to thank everybody that came out to the Relay for Life on the 16th and 17th. Due to the efforts of that organization, they raised over $50,000 for cancer research. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Can we just go ahead and do
I second it.
July